This conference will now be recorded.
There you are.
I'd like to call the July 12th, 2021 workshop meeting to order at 7:44 p.m. or 6:44 p.m., excuse me. Are there any additions or corrections to the agenda tonight? If
I'd like to
not,
make one addition.
okay.
If we have time, I'd like to talk about our council choosing system here. We've stated how we were going to do it and it hasn't happened. And I'm not sure how we're going to go forward with the rules of grading and everything else. We haven't really talked about it, so.
So new business.
Just to clarify a couple of things.
Okay. Okay, any other additions or corrections? If not, would anyone like to make a motion to accept?
I'll move we accept the agenda with the addition of the council selection process under new business.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second's been made. Would you call the roll, please, Stephanie?
Counselor Webb,
Aye.
Mayor Hobart,
Aye.
Counselor Allen.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you, Stephanie. Okay, moving right into new business discussion, American Recovery Plan Act, ARPA funding. Presentation of requests. The first one up tonight is Jennifer Anderson, Habitat for Humanity. Jennifer, thank you for being with us tonight.
I tried calling him.
Wherever you're most comfortable.
Pull that chair right there and talk to him. Have a seat in that chair.
Okay, all right. Thank you. So I am the executive director of Vernonia Habitat for Humanity, and I'm here to request some ARPA funding for our next project, which is going to be in, we're going to be building a home in Vernonia, 6th Street. So my request is for about $16,000 to cover fees and other costs like SDC, water service connection fee, sewer connection fee, building permit, and other fees associated with building this home in Vernonia. So the reason I'm approaching you about the ARPA funding is because one of the goals of this funding is to serve hardest hit communities and families, and affordable housing is one of the acceptable uses for these funds. The families that we help are between 35 and 60% of the median income, and that is also listed as a requirement in ARPA funds. For these type of funds, it needs to be below 60% of the median income. In actuality, the people that we serve are usually between 40 and 50% of the median income. So these are, this type of people that we serve are essential workers. Many of them are caregivers. I handed out some newsletters here. Our last two families were both caregivers, one for elderly and one for disabled families. They're single mothers at the lower end of the range of the families that we help. I think they were between 35 and 40% median income. These families that we select, they put in 400 hours of sweat equity. They help build their homes. And part of what counts as sweat equity is all the financial education and home buyer education. We've recently started using these IDA Oregon savings accounts. So they're match savings. So they get financial counseling and they learn about budgeting. And they save towards their closing costs. And when they go to close, the state of Oregon matches that 3-to-1. So it's a great program, and it teaches them how to make, it's almost set up like a loan where they make payments into a custodial account every month. So they learn how to make regular payments, and they can get booted out of the program if they don't make consistent payments. So it's a great way to teach people how to do that before they have to pay a mortgage. So the way the loans are structured, they do make an affordable mortgage. They never pay more than 30% of their gross income. Part of it is funded by USDA and the rest is a forgivable mortgage through us. So we need to keep the cost down for these homes. So it is a practice of ours to go to each city that we're building in to request help with these kind of fees that would normally be charged to a developer that's making a profit on what they're building and selling. We try to involve as many people as we can from the community to help us. Everyone is welcome. So it does take a lot of volunteer labor and donated materials and that type of thing. So is there anything that you had questions about?
Yeah, when you said the median income, are you doing a median income of single people or you said families, which is typically 2-person income in a household?
It's, what we use is the HUD chart and they kind of adjust the income depending on the household size. So people are allowed, 60% would go up depending on how many people you have in your household.
Okay. So do you also help families or is it just single, you said single
No.
women?
No, these are single mothers, I'm sorry. So they had kids.
Right. That's
Right.
typically a single mother. Is that who you typically are building houses for?
It's been half and half, single mothers and families and.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify that and make sure it wasn't just single moms or.
No. Thank you.
You built 2 homes in 2020 and one in
Yes,
Scappoose.
That was, no, not one in Scappoose. We had 2 attached homes in St. Helens.
Oh, St.
We
Helens.
split the lot in half. And those were just 2-bedroom homes. Those are the smallest ones that we built. The one before that was a 4-bedroom.
Oh, wow. How big is the one here in Vernonia?
You know, it really depends on who applies. We start the application process. We're planning on doing that in August. And we'll come to the Jamboree and have a booth and, press releases and try to get as many applications as we can. And we can kind of tell as we go along through the screening process how large a family we're going to have. So then we build it to suit the family.
It's like a construction perm loan. You apply through the bank and it's funded until the completion of the project.
No, actually, we're self-funded. We raise
Okay.
money through the Restore grants, individual donors. So we raise money as we build. It's really difficult. I've tried getting construction loans. They don't like to loan to nonprofits.
Oh, okay. But it's a similar theory for the owner.
Yes. So
Go breaking ground. In the fall, you plan on breaking ground? Or how
I think it's going to be more like the spring.
Next spring.
Yeah, the family selection process is quite lengthy.
Thank you.
I have a couple of questions. So what happens if they default? Do you take the house back?
Um,
Because you're holding the
I
mortgage.
had that happen in one instance. This was years ago, and we could not afford to buy the house back.
Are they free to sell the house and run off with the profits and move out of state?
Well, that's the purpose of the second mortgage. It's forgivable incrementally over the life of the loan. So they can't.
They'd have to pay some of that
Pay
back.
it back into the program, yes. They can sell the house. Our experience is they don't. They don't sell them. In fact, a lot of people pay off their whole mortgage and they sell it to a discount to their children.
Right, but you could have a situation where the single mom passes away and there was a 17 or 18-year-old child that would probably inherit it. And then they would say,
Right.
I don't want to live here anymore. I just wonder how that would work.
In that case, I think we buy it back and try to place another family in it.
Oh,
I think the reason that they don't sell it is because it's usually the mortgage is less than they could pay in rent even.
so are you part of that program? I know somebody personally that got a house here in Vernonia, somewhere in the same area that was probably low income for sure. And there was a program, first time buyer, she was single and got in a home, and it really did change her life. And she's still a homeowner today, but she lives in Arizona now. So but it wasn't a brand new home. It was like a used home,
A rehab.
just a simple ranch house, but I don't know if it was a rehab. They just got her in there for like nothing down and helped her out, just a program like that. I don't know if the payments were much cheaper, but
It could have been, I don't know, community action team? Yes.
it was probably 20 years ago, or more.
Right.
It might have been 20 years ago, probably.
USDA loans that we use, they also help low-income people in rural areas. And so everywhere in Columbia County is eligible for this program, and they subsidize interest down to 1%. So then with our forgivable mortgage on top of that, like a 3-bedroom home would be maybe $700-800 a month for the mortgage.
So you guys are finding it's cheaper to build a home than try to buy one at the used prices right now, almost, huh?
Well, when we're using, we get some of our materials through Habitat International. They have relationships with Whirlpool, for example, and so we can order brand new appliances for free from them with no shipping. So
Oh, wow.
we get sheetrock from US Gypsum. They donate that for free. We get shingles from Malarkey. They donate to all Habitat homes in Columbia County and even in Beaverton.
You dealing with Mike Malarkey over
Not.
He's the owner.
Or he just arranges everything. So we did purchase one house that it was a mess. We ended up tearing it down. We haven't done any rehabs, but we're not opposed to doing that kind of thing. I think we just haven't found the right project.
there? Thank you. My next question, as Joe said, is it okay to waive the SDC fees? We've talked about this several times.
I was trying to look it up because I remember you saying, Jennifer, some other town did a different way because they were worried they couldn't do that for one specific property.
Well, what
Was that they said?
What I've been told through Habitat for Humanity Oregon is that it's not illegal to waive it, but it's the opinion of somebody at the state level that's
Right.
saying that you really should backfill it from another part of your budget. Just the SDCs.
Yeah.
The other, they're not against, waiving building permit fees or anything.
But was there a different town that did a different, I thought you said something about, yeah.
Waive it, and then they heard about this, and now they,
No. So that might be, they backfill it or they just don't do it?
oh, they back.
Okay. So that might be a question we'd want to ask legal, just our legal counsel's opinion.
Right.
See if they match up with St. Helens. If we backfill it with this kind of funding, would it be okay or not?
Was there a question on our permit fees?
So permits, we can't really do it because the state of Oregon requires all those inspections. But she's not we wouldn't, those monies don't come to us. They aren't, if that makes sense. We get like a surcharge or whatever, but really it's for the inspections to the state. So it'd have to be Northwest Code Pros partnering if they were going to forget that. Because they're not actually our fees.
Right.
They're
They bill us and we just pay it.
Yeah, it's a pass through mostly.
If they wouldn't waive it, we would have to pay it out of some way.
Right, you could choose to pay for it, but those aren't something we just take in and no one else touches. Those are specific to building inspections. So they'd have to be paid for somehow.
Okay.
But I can put down here to,
Which is roughly how much for all the building inspections on
well,
it?
this says 4,000, but it really depends on the square footage, the number of fixtures, all that. What type of heating, all that.
But that's in the ballpark.
Yeah, it's between 28 to 32 usually.
Oh, maybe estimated high.
Well,
I love how Portland screams affordable housing, but they'll charge 30 grand in fees.
Exactly.
It's just asinine.
So
But we could out of these funds pay for that if we so chose.
yeah, I meant to print you guys the criteria because I was going to tell you.
Oh, yeah.
I gave it to you once before,
Categories.
but yeah. But yeah, so you could choose to do that and then just backfill it.
What's the total amount of funding for this year? Is it 200 or
So it's-
230,000? Okay. And then the same amount for next year?
And a year later, you're supposed to.
Okay, so we're looking at a top end of 230, what we're talking about tonight.
Jennifer, what fiscal year are you anticipating this project to go? Probably 2022.
You said spring, so yeah.
Yeah, I guess by the time we'd be paying the fees though, I would think it may slide into the next one. Maybe this summer. Are you doing like July 1st?
Yeah, July
Yeah.
1st, our fiscal.
It depends on when you pull your permit.
It does?
Yeah, if you pay for it when you're issued your permit, that's when you make the payment. So it would be before you break
How
ground.
long does it take to, after an application to get?
If everything's there, probably less than a month,
I was going to say 30 days.
Yeah, pretty quick.
the average.
Okay.
So it could be this
Yeah.
fiscal year.
May or June. Things always take longer than you think they're going to take.
So has it already been voted on by your board that Vernonia is the next one?
I have an application, I'm waiting for a permit for the St. Helens house. And then we're starting the Vernonia.
So they own a lot up on 6th Street. They bought it from Community Action.
Oh.
So they own it. They're going to build something there.
Right.
Okay. I don't think I have any more questions.
And that's kind of as far as we can go with it. It's just
Yeah.
gain information tonight. Till we go back to regular session and we can kick it around.
Okay.
When did Habitat for Humanity begin? I'm trying to think. The history of it.
1999.
99?
Yes, actually, I'm the founding president.
Really?
Yes. So,
Wow.
it wasn't my idea to start it, but I ran into a group of people and the person that was, kind of heading it up had dropped out and I had a new baby. I had quit my job and I was just, wanting something to do. So I picked up the ball and I did the application for affiliation to international. So
Wow.
ran it for a few years. So it's been a lot of fun. I've met some great people. It's a very positive, uplifting experience.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
What an experience.
Right.
Well, thanks for bringing it to us tonight.
So we were an all-volunteer organization for a long time until we got the Restore. We opened the Restore in 2013, so we couldn't afford to have any staff before then. So it's really stabilized the organization. We had about a 7-year period in there after our 4th house where nothing happened. All of the original volunteers had kind of gone off and just floundered around. And so got reorganized in 2013.
I remember after the 96 flood, there was quite a few people from out of state and in-state Mennonites that came and helped us. And they even had an article in the Reader's Digest and they called them angels with hammers. And that was, so it's along the same line as what you're doing. It's pretty cool.
Hopefully you have some good trade partners, because I'll be honest, it's sometimes hard to get people to come to Vernonia when there's so much work closer to their house or they charge a premium. So you probably might hopefully find some local help or already have some trade partners agree to it, because
Right.
sticker shock. Unfortunately, sometimes up here I've heard, and even my own experience trying to get people to come up and they're like, well, pass.
This is going to take a lot of outreach and development and connecting with people. And we have a great construction manager who volunteers his time, Mike Stone, and he has his own construction business in Scappoose.
Is he the one that typically helps you frame them up or what?
He coordinates everything.
Oh,
We have some key volunteers, retired carpenters, and they just love to go out and work on projects.
nice. Maybe I'll come help him one.
That'd be great.
Thank you, Jennifer.
So that total amount was about 16, is that what you said?
What?
Was it
Yeah.
16K for the fees and all that?
About 16.
16.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Jennifer.
Okay, Jamboree softball expense.
Well, you guys we're just putting this one on here because it would be coming out of here, but this is the $2,050 that you had talked to Roger and Bill Hawkins about coming, and where we saw it addressing the criteria was addressing the negative impacts caused by the public health emergency and speeding the recovery of tourism, travel, and hospitality sectors. So, because they didn't have one in 2020, so they don't have enough funds in the bank. So that's the section we're going to approve it under the criteria.
So there was a $250.
So $2,050.
Oh, that's right.
$450 for the sports field and then the
The 1,600.
camping.
Okay.
They're still going to collect the camping fees and put it in the kitty for next year so that they can pay for everything as normal when they get back to regular vendors and all that. So that one was pretty easy.
Okay. Moving right along to Dude Solutions.
Okay, so what you guys have here, and if you're interested, since it's an email for me, so it says my name at the top. They do a lot of different products, but the product I want to get for the city is basically, they have two products. They have a kind of notification that helps generate work orders. So a neighbor could take a picture of a place and a GPS picture would say pothole on whatever, kind of a reporting system. The part that I want to use is creating the preventative maintenance schedule. So basically you input all of your equipment into the database, serial numbers, age, condition, all of that. Then you mark how often you want them regularly serviced, and it basically kicks out work orders to tell you need to maintain when Public Works needs to do the different maintenances or take it to small engine repair or wherever the things get maintained. They're happy to do a little presentation for you guys with as many as we had today. I thought if you're interested, I'd rather have you do it a little bit separate so you can hear them out. So it makes our stuff better so that we can keep track of it. That's one of the missing components. We tried to do it when Carrie worked here, having her go through and start tracking all of that. It seemed like either it wasn't her thing or it was too big of a job. But Eva has done a lot of that and has a lot of background in that kind of documentation. So we were thinking if we did go with this product, she could do it over the winter when there's less code things to go on. She could pick a section of the shop and just get all the data, right? So there's lots of products they sell, but the one I'm looking at would be about $4,000 or $1,000 per user. And we thought maybe we wouldn't even have more than 3 users inputting it just to set it up. So Jessica's happy to give you guys a little presentation on how it works. They have a lot of just kind of amazing products. I don't think we're ready for them yet, or they'd be super useful to us, but this one product seemed like it could be super useful. Because I know we're always talking about kind of extended life of the equipment and when things are going to be going out. They have a portion of their programming that will help you kind of average out when that thing's going to need to be replaced. So that would be helpful in budgeting long-term with reserves and stuff. So just something to think about. And if you guys are interested, she's happy to do it. It kind of works in our favor because Ben's already got the GIS and a lot of their products ping to where somewhere in the GIS, like if you take a picture of it in their program, it will tell us where it is. Well, it works out for us because we have everything already laid out in GIS.
So it encompasses that plus the basically
Yeah, so
maintenance.
the two products that I thought would be most useful were the, hey, there's a problem here app, which is kind of like when we launch on the website, people could download it. They could let us know when there's a problem and see a water leak, click, there's a water leak. Things would come up and kind of be filtered as emergency. And then the maintenance thing was another part of that. It's called Asset Essentials is their government program. They do it for all kinds of business, but the government program is called Asset Essentials.
Does Portland use this? Because I've seen where the citizens can put in their own pothole stuff.
I don't know if they do. They, the ones she said they have currently worked with are Kelso, Castle Rock, Ridgeview, Beaverton, Milwaukee, and Gresham.
Are you ready for 5 million pothole requests in 1 week?
Yeah, and that doesn't bug me so much because it would just, then you could just follow the list, boom, 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 right? And hit as many as you can hit. I mean, we'll put some disclaimer that they're taken in and done in as quickly as we can, or, it's not going to happen tomorrow, Jimmy, if there's 8 million of them. But I think it would really help us to kind of see, because we don't have the time to drive everywhere. People will be like, have you tried that road? It's horrible. And I haven't driven on that road in 6 months. I'm going home and.
This is an application that covers all our roads and water systems and vehicles and.
Well, so it will really start with equipment. So it would be your backhoe, your pumps, your generators, your weed whackers, things with motors, equipment. The road part would be an application that I could download on my phone. If I see a puddle, I could go click.
Oh, wow.
Click it, and it would send us a message that, hey, there's a problem here. Or if someone sees a water leak, because half the time they go, oh, there's a water leak on Rose.
They call me, yeah.
What's the nearby house? Oh, I don't know. It's down there by Phil's, and they'll tell us we don't know what so then we have to go see, is it really,
The one at Stuart Grady's on Knott Street.
Right.
It would have shown it.
Right. So she's happy to do a presentation if you guys are
Is
interested.
there a way to upload the repair manuals and maintenance logs that go along with a new pump and stuff with the piece of equipment so you know what you're supposed to be doing?
There was a document feature. I don't know if it had a max, but that was one of the things I was talking to her about, is kind of like when you buy a new piece of equipment, it has a warranty requirement. So you have to service it so many times to keep the warranty good. I asked her, could you upload those service documents? And she said you could attach it to it. I don't know if it has a limit though for manuals. Manuals might exceed the limit, but it doesn't mean we couldn't try to, or at least scan the picture of it and where it's located in the.
Is this the total cost or is it a reoccurring?
That was going to be the total cost. They set you up and then you're basically paying for the applications and the users on it. So
you don't continue to pay for it every year?
no.
So to be honest with you, I worry of Eva's time. I know she's been working on documents for the chief for years. How's that going? Oh,
Yeah.
it's getting close.
Most of the records database is complete.
Wouldn't Public Works need to help her with this?
Yeah, I was thinking, wouldn't this go through Jeff?
Well, first you would document all the stuff. Then we would say, because pretty much you can look at a piece of equipment and get all the basics off of it, right? The maintenance and how often it needs to be serviced, that would then be before we click the boxes that say it needs to be every 3 months and it should have an oil change or a filter or whatever. That would be with Jeff. But initially she would just gather all the data first.
And they go by run time if it has a meter or.
Yeah, I don't know how much of ours have the timers. Because
Oh, really?
yeah, we just bought residential or something. I don't know.
Put it on it once a year at least.
Yeah. So if you guys want, I can schedule. So the money hasn't hit our account yet. So none of these decisions are like super pressing unless they're pressing for the people asking for them. For this on me is not a pressing thing. So I can set up that to happen, August, September.
I could see some benefit to having records of. And
Yeah, having that maintenance.
individuals and
Well, the number one thing I see is the skills gap. If you can get your information uploaded in there and something happens, you can go to it with somebody new and go, this is what we're supposed to be doing.
Well, we're trying to kind of set the city up in the processes and programming so that when we leave, the next round of us can just get rolling.
Yeah.
I mean, we're doing it with how we upload all her documents, right? That's taking a lot of time, but slowly they're all going to be there for the next Stephanie.
Right.
And I'm hoping for the next Jeff or whoever. It's all just kind of seamless and it's something like second nature.
That is a goal we've been moving forward.
So would
Yeah.
the water plant be considered a tool that would be uploaded with all the procedures to run it? That'd be pretty important when you.
Well, it's not, they're doing that right now. They're doing the procedures manual and writing down all that stuff with the new crew and Jeff because he's realizing it's all in his head and he's got to get it out. More so in this application would be all of the pumps, PRVs, the SCADA system, the mission control. Like, what is that thing? Do we need to have someone come calibrate it, right? All that. Because all those systems, you need to have who's the contact for who do you call when mission control starts bugging out? Who do you call when the sewer plant main panel is doing weird things? Well, it's usually Hamer Electric because they're the ones that did it, but that's nowhere except in Jeff's head.
Most of us would be like, huh?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, and that's the thing. We kind of want to set it up for the future us to not.
store in a cloud for your,
Right.
everything in your iPhone, your pictures and everything.
Right.
It's a great idea. I think.
Yeah. So I can set that up for a future meeting if you guys want to see it and more practicality, what it looks like on the system and all of that.
So the GIS, you're saying you took a photo of a spot on the ground, it'll upload and give you a position.
Yeah, because it's
Within
in
3
their,
feet.
it's in their app. Yeah. And because we already have our whole town in quadrants, like Ben has it and all the geo-reference points, it's gonna be just like Ben did a small app like that to log all the electrical light poles. And Donna just went around and typed in I'm right here, this is the one I'm at, and upload it. So it's not a crazy thing. I think this is way more detailed than the app Ben did, but yeah, it'll do it geo-referenced.
I don't think we need to be sold on the need. The only thing I would need, and the salesman's not going to satisfy it, is how it actually is working on the ground. And they've got
Yeah, I can-
the references here.
Sure, I can get-
Call.
yeah.
I would be more willing to hear what their experience is and how
Sure.
it's working for them.
Yeah,
Other than that, if it's working for them,
right.
I don't think I need to hear the salesman's pitch. I think
Well, I just meant because their PowerPoint shows you
they can do.
how it looks, right? How are you going to input that stuff? So you guys would have kind of before you spend the money, a reference of what. But I can definitely call the references and see if they're using these specific applications and how they've liked it.
And Castle Rock would probably be more our size. Doesn't mean they're using it yet. So
Yeah,
it's
North
working with
Carolina, pretty small.
Right.
pitching it to them.
Well, no, she said those are their current customers, so I can call and see. They may be using some other application because that, like I said, they have a lot of stuff we're just too small for or
We can
not ready
run
for.
Beaverton, see if we can report a pothole.
There you go.
There you go. But like, that's kind of what we're trying to work towards with all the city things is to give the citizens kind of the ticket so they're not calling you, telling you that there's a leak by Stewart's house. That they're just taking a picture, uploading it, kind of streamlining that. We've been doing that slowly with emergency management and kind of getting people on the CAN network and getting log in their cell phones so they get notices and updates and the reader board. So we're trying to get them all kind of information highway, and here's how you find out or share what's wrong. I'll call the references and then I'll put that back on your, like a short, and I'll just tell her it needs to be short with the things we're looking at so they can see it and answer questions. You don't do a long deal, so.
Okay, any other discussion on deeds? Paul Vogel, welcome. Columbia County Economic.
Good evening. So I'm Paul Vogel, Executive Director of the Columbia Economic Team, and we also are here to talk with you about the Recovery Fund Act money. It's not to ask for funding for our organization so much as it is to ask for funding for small businesses in Vernonia and small businesses throughout the county in partnership with other communities throughout the county. None of us needs to be told all the challenges of the pandemic, and it's not all over. But I'm here to tell you, actually, there are some opportunities that have come out of the pandemic, and those are the opportunities that we're trying to seize. Small businesses are the backbone of the national economy. Small businesses are the backbone of the Columbia County economy. And if there was ever an opportunity to fill a gap that's never been filled in Columbia County and assist in the recovery, which is important for these funds, and cultivate small business growth, there's no better time than this. And the pandemic shined a glaring light on the absence of small business assistance. We are one of the only counties in the state of Oregon without a small business development center. The Columbia Economic Team stepped in and filled some gaps. We ran 4 rounds of grants, the PPE store, took lots of calls, made lots of referrals. But we are not small business advisors. We just aren't, and we don't have those, that service available in our county. And working with folks and literally helping them fill out grant applications and that sort of thing really underscored the need that it has to be here. We just have to. So we determined to set out and make available here, and with the goal of establishing a small business resource center, we began cultivating the necessary relationships to make it happen. And today, those relationships are coming together, and we had the opportunity to establish the first ever small business resource center that we've had here. The functions really would be a full range of business resources to local small businesses, free or no cost one-on-one advising, locally initiated. It's a locally initiated and supported and staffed center. So not somebody coming in from the outside. This is a Columbia County Small Business Resource Center. However, it'll be connected in partnership with the PCC Small Business Development Center, as well as the Oregon Small Business Development Center network. We would have access to all the SBDC software, programs, licenses, resources, workshops, training, everything. It would be staffed by a full-time director who advises, markets, teaches, connects well in the community. That's as opposed to most SBDCs where the director is part-time. The SBDC model is 25 hours a month because their requirement is that the director is also a small business person. So the only folks who can really make that work are people who are running a business but not actually managing every aspect of it. This would be a full-time 40-hour position. because it's going to require work to get it set up. And it's going to require work to do outreach and get around to all communities around the county. 15 hours a month or 15 hours a week probably may not be enough to do that, but we think in order to attract the right person, this needs to be a full-time position, but 25 hours a week would be purely small business advisor. Small businesses. It's a model to provide adequate capacity and traction, time to establish a foothold. We developed it on a two-phase plan. Phase one is a 4-year plan. You can't fund something for a year and expect it to get traction when it's never existed before, particularly with the geographic separation and really, frankly, the demand. But it needs to be able to develop its portfolio, its clientele, develop a track record and metrics and value and credibility, and actually get the inertia that any startup needs to get. And it would also be a model that isn't just a small business resource center. It actually contains a small business development center, which is an actual entity, defined entity within it. So that's what links it back to the network and the other small business centers and all the resources that the network offers. In terms of accountability, as an SBDC director, there are specific reporting and analytics and metrics in terms of traffic, and numbers of visits, and where they're doing it, and what types, and how many referrals, and all that. That's reporting that's required on at least a monthly and certainly a quarterly basis, and it's assessed on a half-yearly basis. So this is something that we don't have to actually invent that process, because the Small Business Development has it, and they don't just check the report card. It is, look, you seem to be lagging here, or you don't seem to be getting much traction in this sector. What about these goals and all? So it's a collaborative process with the network. They meet on a regular basis as a group. Now everybody meets by Zoom, so it's even a whole lot easier. So there's accountability, not just to make sure that it's working. There's accountability to make sure that they have the tools and the support to make it work. Also would have the oversight of a small business advisory council. There's sort of a model for that with the SBDCs. It includes small business experts, probably someone from the SBA, certainly somebody from the Small Business Developments Network, as well as local business people on that advisory board, and that's who that director would be accountable to. Structurally, it would be set up under the economic team umbrella, so it would be a separate entity. Certainly small business, one of our goals, our chief objectives is business retention and expansion. We approach it more from working with businesses to help them be more competitive or find other suppliers, deal with supply chain, or would it be helpful if this type of customer was here, that type of allied business was here. That's more on a recruitment and expansion side. This is literally working with people to help them write business plans, if that's what it takes, or solve problems, get access to capital, that sort of thing. So we go hand in glove, but and there's a nice synergy to it, but it would be a separate entity from our organization. The way it has come together is I got here I arrived with COVID actually in April of last year. And I've worked with SBDCs, with people who ran SBDCs all over the state. And I realized we don't have them because typically SBDCs are associated with community college. PCC is our community college. And PCC has tried to serve this market with somebody showing up once a month, maybe setting up office hours at the Scapa City Hall. Or typically what you'll get, Tony Hyde loves to tell the story, and he called them and they said, well, sure, we have an office for Columbia County. It's at Lloyd Center. You can imagine how amused he was. But PCC didn't have one. So I started asking the PCC SBDC director, why not? And she was telling me about, I've tried this and we've tried that. Frankly, she didn't have a great answer. But what I found was she was somebody who was willing to work with us if we could stand something up from the ground up. We got connected through her to the statewide network. Started having meetings with them, connected with the business development department, started putting all the pieces together. And those are our key partners in this. So we put together a plan. Well, actually, we put together a concept. And my board said, sure, in March, April. They said, yes, we're committed to this concept, write a plan, but we're not announcing a damn thing until you have that first 4-year phase funded. So where are we today on the 4-year phase? It has a budget of $700,000, which is based upon, we did comparatives with, say, Clatsop County, Tillamook County, similar sized counties, about $175,000 a year for the budget. So that's $700,000 over 4 years. Today, we're only $150,000 short of reaching that $700,000 goal. The composition of that is this. Through these conversations and developing these relationships, the USBDCN not only said they would fund us at about 40%, but they're actually going to bring us in as the 21st SBDC in their statewide network. So we'll actually be one of theirs. Funding is year after year, well, biennium by biennium. Because that money comes from the business development department. So that's about $150,000 per biennium from that. In fact, they've actually taken our model, they borrowed our model, and they're using it to set up a couple more of these around the state in counties that are a little more similar to ours, associated with an economic development entity. Congresswoman Bonamici worked with us, and we put together a request, and we were in the House Appropriations Bill for $175,000. So essentially €1 funding. That bill hasn't passed yet, but it doesn't look like anybody's going to pull us out. And it looks like they'll probably pass that bill. It goes to the Senate. So we would probably hear about that in the fall. And the economic team also, we had applied early on, I think maybe May or June of last year, to the Federal Economic Development Agency administration for a $75,000 grant to develop this concept. We kind of didn't really use that $75,000 to develop the concept. We want to put the $75,000 to the center. So at this point, we got to about $550,000, and we need $150,000 to close that gap. The sooner we get it, the sooner we can actually announce this, get somebody hired, and conceivably we could have the SBRC in its first stages of operation easily by fall, certainly by the end of the year. So that's what we're doing here tonight is asking, we're visiting with each city council, each community. And Josette and I talked about it. This is one of those things where I can give you a figure, and I can give you reasons for that figure. And if you press me, I'll do that. What I'd like you to do is think about this funding, is because I'm sure you've got a lot of requests. I mean, Jennifer's got a great program, and that is something that you see right here on the ground in the community. But think in terms of the small businesses you have here, small businesses you'd like to have here. Think of this as an opportunity to help ensure more healthy growth and expansion of small business, and play a role in making that happen countywide. And as I say, I can give you percentages. I have a tendency to not look at, we've got figures on the percentages of small businesses in the county that are in each community. And that may be a way to break it down, but we can talk about that further. What I'd like you to do is just think about it and think about the value to the community and know that if we could get an allocation from your PA money to this, you would be the first folks I've talked to directly. And you'd be the first ones in, which is always kind of a cool thing, but the sooner we actually get that $150,000 hole plugged, the sooner we can actually get this thing up and running, and every small business in the county can benefit. That answers questions, because Joe said knows that I'll just keep talking.
What cities are you going to pitch this to?
We're going to pitch it to Vernonia, St. Helens, Scappoose, Columbia City, Plattskanaya, and Rainier.
Okay. How much is the director? You only said 175,000 per year. Is that for the director?
That's the director. It's marketing expenses, office expenses. We're going to collaborate on the rent. We get the rent way down because we're going to share space and all that, and some support staff that would be on contract. We would share the support. So it's pretty bare bones. It's not a lot, but it's so, I mean, your instinct is right. It's principally for the director.
Right. The reason I ask, I always hear the nonprofit stuff. And then when I look up and see what the nonprofits are making, it pisses me off, frankly, like Columbia County Mental Health, 25-hour psychiatrists. You know what they make? $279,000 a year, and they run a full-time business themselves in Hillsborough, their own clinic. So how do they have time to help anybody for 25 hours a week at that rate? So then you got several other staff members who are all over 100,000. And I'm just wondering if the taxpayers are getting.
We're not in that ballpark. What we intend to do is pull somebody out of the business community who's done this, either as a loan officer or a business counselor for a financial institution. Our budget is for a $90,000 position plus benefits. One advantage of not connecting up with PCC, if you ever looked at their comp load, holy moly, their comp load is well north of 35%. And that's being generous. And operating this as a hybrid allows us to be competitive, to offer somebody, an attractive job, but we don't have to bear the PCC comp load.
Speaking of PCC, aren't we all paying taxes and PCC, and we've had a hard time getting money to Columbia County, which you kind of alluded to? I think they finally bought some land, or going to start a building or something.
They built a workforce training center in Scappoose. It's, in my view, it's about damn time. And it's a terrific facility. It is run by a terrific guy who actually has come on our board. They haven't been able to get anybody in the building yet, probably not till this fall. But I mean, they finally did that, but it's been a long time. I play nice. I'm polite in these conversations with the SBDC folks, the PCC SBDC folks, but they're the ones who have kind of been letting this county down on the small business side for a long time. I'm on, well, particularly during COVID, 2-3 times a week, I was on calls with our regional partners, and the guy I know who runs the SBDC in Clatsop County. The other day, he said they helped, I think, 347 businesses directly, just not grants, but just direct counseling of businesses. And the PCC SBDC very proudly reports quarter after quarter, they're helping 8. There's a lot more need than 8. And people are not going to go. And if you're running a business, you don't have time to go to the center.
Right.
And you shouldn't have to.
Plus, it's not safe over there.
Well, that too. I used to work next door to Lloyd Center.
So did I.
But there's small business people need to be able to access you when they can access you. They need to know that you know their community. They need to be able to go someplace in their community or at least near their community. And there's a bit of a psychology around getting people to actually ask for help when they need it. And that's not going to happen if it's somewhere else. It's got to be local.
And I'm glad you said that, because a lot of people have an idea in their head and they might not have a lot of money to drive and waste to go over to St. Helens or Portland and meet with someone that doesn't really get what they're talking about. But I'm curious if you're going to do a Zoom thing. Somebody just starting off could Zoom into the director and have an initial chat or.
Well, I think that would have been a more challenging thing a year and a half ago. I think now, absolutely.
I'm thinking Vernonia folks that don't want to drive over the mountain to get over there and go, well, that's a dumb idea. You need more information, come back.
Oh, well, and so the Zoom thing is helpful. What I want somebody looking for is so that I've got an idea, I can go talk to somebody and maybe get some reaction and some suggestions, do my own research. I want to be able to go see them when I'm ready with developing ideas and all of that, and not have to make the big major effort. The other thing, and the reason I want this person to be full-time is, okay, you're dedicated 25 hours a week to advising. The rest of the time, I want you in Vernonia, or I want you in Glasgow, or I want you in Scatloose, and I want you just walking down the street and talking to people.
Also, it's in and out of the office.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. There, to me, particularly as a startup, you can't sit there and wait for people to come to you. You just can't. The rare bird will be the one that comes to you. First of all, it's tough to get the word out. You got to do marketing anyway. Best marketing is to walk into somebody's door, let them know what you're there for and what you do, and then go talk to their neighbor and just work your way down Main Street.
I think it's a wonderful idea. I think it'd be a huge asset for our county. And more specifically, thank you for coming to Vernonia first. We haven't had a Chamber of Commerce for how many years? A long time.
8.
And we kind of replaced it with the Intercultural Society, but it's not quite the same.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, because we didn't have a Chamber of Commerce, we could have got some, when the initial CARES funding came out, we could have got, I think it was like 75,000 we missed out on because we don't have a chamber. And so I think it's a great idea to have a board and, we have a lot of small business here in Vernonia and it's growing because of the CZ Trail connection of the Banks Linear Trail. And we're growing here. And I think it's a great idea.
So I have one question. Is the advisory committee made up of a member of each community? Because if not, it should be. A business owner from each place, because how else are you going to hear on an annual basis that, hey, they're not even coming to Vernonia or they're not hitting Vernonia? Do you know what I mean?
Well, I do know what you mean. And, and that's one of the things I like about the reporting system required by SBDC is they're going to look at, well, why aren't you got nothing going on here? Why is that? Is it them or is it you or this and that and the other? So some of the, that accountability needs to be sort of intuitive, like you're talking about, but I think it also needs to be quantifiable, as in what does the report say you're spending your time on? The SBDC, their advisory board model is a little bit prescriptive in terms of the types of folks that it has on it. I alluded to it in the plan, and I did, as long as I've talked, I did spare you the, walking through the 14-page plan. But I think that it would be useful to have an advisory, more of a council that is less sort of the nuts and bolts of how is this thing operating and more about how is it operating in the community. So, you don't need to smother yourself in group meetings or anything like that. But if the advisory board has to be prescriptive in certain types of positions, I think there ought to be that sort of kind of armchair committee that is representative of every community that, and certainly the ones that are invested.
Because I think the fear of even being a small business owner in Vernonia is if all the people that work there, plus all the advisory people are all Highway 30, how much interest, who, I see no familiar face that I'm like, oh, I know Jim's on the advisory committee and I see Jim in my community because he runs something or something. So how do those people get chosen? I mean, I get it, it's going to have to be someone from PCC, someone from maybe the Oregon Network, but then what are the other positions and how are those people chosen?
So can I put you down for $100,000 in a seat on that council?
We had somebody on the economic team over there.
Well, Jill used to go when she was on council. She would go as part of that.
We let her go after council.
Yeah, and then
She represented one of us.
she changed jobs. And I think they have a full board now, so I don't know that there's even an opening, right?
We lost the position.
Well, I don't know that, I think it's been switching over the,
Yeah, so before me, essentially, if you were a member of the
CSEC,
economic team,
Yeah.
you were on the board.
right?
And a couple of years ago, they sort of tightened things up because they were almost paralyzed. They couldn't make decisions because you couldn't get a quorum together. You couldn't do this, you couldn't do that.
Yeah.
So currently, so when I got here a year ago, we were at 13 members on the board. They recently passed a bylaw amendment, expanded that to 15, but only brought on one member. So there's an open seat right now, and we have 14 board members.
Yeah, because it looks like there's someone from, whether or not it's in a business capacity or just a regular capacity, there's someone from every community but us.
So Vernonia lost its seat and never got asked.
Wasn't it lost that they
Does
just,
he count?
no,
He doesn't count?
no.
I'm gonna let him know.
He's got Knife River under his name,
Tony?
Vernonia. He's Morris Brothers in it over there.
Yeah, he's not representing Vernonia anymore.
Night forever.
Yeah.
So
But what I'm saying is we didn't lose it. It's that they took kind of all the people that would show up and shrunk it to a smaller number. And the kind of diehards stayed in those spots and those other positions went away. So it wasn't like, oh, Vernonia, Jill's not coming anymore, you're out.
No,
It was more of a meld.
With a couple of exceptions. I mean, the board is principally composed of the largest funders who, he who pays the piper.
Right.
Except maybe Clask and I.
Yeah, they're a little higher than Rainier, I think.
speaking of funding, have you rattled Margaret's purse?
Mark, I have talked to Commissioner Heimmuller, I have talked to Commissioner Garrett, and Margaret is next. Margaret is next. She's very excited about it. She gets on all these Zoom calls, regional Zoom calls, and talks about this Small Business Resource Center. And of course, they want it in the John Gunn building. But they haven't really nailed down a commitment yet.
Oh, they were talking about buying a building the other day on their calls.
Oh, no, they're committed to that. They haven't typed down a commitment to the SBRC yet.
Oh,
You said Margaret,
Magruder.
just making sure I'm not assuming.
oh, yeah, sorry, I mean Commissioner McGruder.
Did I hear you right? You're setting up a 4-year plan? You got funding for 4 years?
Phase 1 is 4 years.
4 years.
And then the plan calls for phase 2 or year 2 of phase 1, start setting a, the long-term funding process. So largely this is to take advantage of, there's existing CARES money out there, there's ARPA money. Let's be opportunistic, use this so that next time something like this happens, our businesses aren't turned. that gives enough time, but we can't wait till year 3 or year 4 to start setting up the full-time deal. Now, the plus is being in the OSBDCN, that $150,000 per biennium is into perpetuity. The governor actually tried to reduce that OSBDC money this year, and Senator Johnson got it back and then raised it another $1 million, I think.
Of course she did.
Of course she did.
The governor's got a bill on her desk right now to raise small business tax by 17%.
Yes, she does.
That ought to help them out.
Yes, she does.
Hope she don't sign it.
So, yeah, the concern, I mean, this would be a one-time hit for these funds,
Right.
but there would probably be a continuing commitment into the future.
Well, we would, what the 4-year startup phase does is give us an idea of, how is this being used? How is it performing? All of that, and then develop a formula that is fair and manageable for folks who want to invest. Frankly, I think private business needs to be invested in this thing. And I would love to take advantage of the opportunistic money to get it started, and then absolutely hang that over the heads of private business to say, look, you guys weren't in the first phase. You need to be in the second phase. And by the way, here's the track record. Here are the folks that we're seeing. Here are the folks that we're helping get access to capital or secondary loans or underwriting loans that you'll give them and making it possible for you to lend money, for example.
Okay, so that's the hook.
That's the hook.
Okay, let's try.
That's the hook.
Didn't we donate to this a couple of years ago?
Well, we paid into Columbia County.
Economic,
Yes,
at least one.
but that's Paul's, this is a different entity.
No, I understand, but it's connected, but it's an offshoot.
Right.
Yeah.
That's,
May I ask?
yeah, go ahead.
So that, so Columbia Pacific Economic Development District, is that a totally different?
That's the dark side. No. That's Colpac. Yeah, we're actually partners with them. We share office space. They're an economic development district, which is actually a federal designation.
Right, and I work with them here.
Yeah. I mean, ironically, I'm actually an employee at Colpac.
I was not.
For payroll reasons.
Because there's nothing in there that talks about the.
There's some mentions in there. Colpac actually is who helped us get the first EDA grant, $75,000. Yep. And they at their meeting the other day, they had the SBA guy on, and I think there's some longer term money available through SBA. So they're going to continue to be a bit of a pipeline for this thing. So we anticipate EDA, USDA, other federal sources will be contributors down the line. But those are also dangerous programs to get too dependent upon. We want to have a good balance.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for your time.
Yeah.
Nice meeting
And
you.
by the way, I'm coming to Vernonia a lot. I was here last Thursday. Today.
All these
We're looking
man
forward
things.
to doing the beautification project. I just
Yeah.
signed a contract today for $34,000 in murals.
Yeah,
And,
thank you for your work.
Yes, absolutely.
Working with
Absolutely.
Josette in that.
Josette's great to work with. Josette is kind of one of those get things done kind of people.
Paul, can I ask you?
Well, I'm
one?
like, did you get the money yet? Because I've already spent money and I need to be
I
reimbursed.
do remember that, folks.
He's like, you already spent money? I'm like, yeah, they're already constructed.
It's like, well, quick, because we get 90% of the grant. And we get nervous if we're starting to write checks on money we don't have.
Yeah.
For obvious reasons. But she was right on it. Right on it.
JR's got a question.
Are you gonna hit up Columbia County for 50K or what? So if they're in on it, it kind of helps us make a decision that the Columbia County's invested in it.
I'd like to hit them up for more. I remember a conversation I had with one of the commissioners back in December when they got that $1 million, and I said, you get 19 days to get this out the door. Maybe if you set up a small business center, you could actually teach these people to fish a little bit. Well, if we had a plan, I'd do it right now. Okay, well, we didn't have, we got a plan now. So we're talking to them about money. They are talking to us about what about a long-term rent-free commitment. I don't know how this is all going to work out, but yes, they need to be in.
That's in that $1 million building they're going to buy.
It's a what?
That's in that big building they're going to buy probably.
That's their thought. That's their thought. And I keep saying, well, look, if I can get this thing stood up by October, we don't have a home. So
Right.
I don't know if you can play the John Gum building chip if we can't be in it. So maybe you should write us a check until the building's ready.
That's what I was kind of thinking.
So to clarify for my meeting minutes, you want 150?
Ooh, I don't want that in the meeting minutes.
No, not that. You want $150,000 from all entities or
Correct.
combined with all?
We have 150,000. We're approaching 6 cities and the county.
You want 150,000 from each of those cities?
No,
Not dispersed.
divided by.
So would you be doing a percentage?
Cities will be giving us what they can. St.
Okay.
Helens, I know, is thinking about more because they got $3.5 million. And they should because they got 36 or more % of the businesses. So.
Okay.
Any idea what we had?
7%.
If Columbia County gave 50.
Oh, divided by 6 is 25, but, so, I'm saying big county in there, I
The
think,
county shook them out 50 grand, they'll leave 100,000 short.
yeah, so it's gonna be.
I missed the Thursday meeting at Class 10 on the biodiesel update meeting. How is that coming along?
It's coming along pretty well. There's actually a meeting Wednesday night in St. Helens at the roof. Should be great because they'll be serving cocktails at
I mean,
a meeting about a controversial project. It's actually not that controversial.
Are they getting their permits?
If you ask permit people, you always get the same answer and all that. What I'm told by the state and by the permit people is that the process is going well, which is about as positive as you can get. I think they had to August 19th to get some responses back get some responses to, and then back from the county. It sounds like it's going pretty well. They got very good permitting people working on it. I will tell you that there are a couple of issues we're trying to help with sort of regionally, including with Colpack. Some permitting decisions are affected by housing availability and that sort of thing. And so Fox-Kenai hasn't necessarily updated their housing needs analysis in a while. So we're looking at ways to maybe make that stuff happen. We're also pushing hard on the business development department to get more, for the state to get more engaged. And the governor, and this is not how I would run the business development department. The governor gave the business development department permission to talk to us last week, which they ought to be able to talk to anybody they want to, my view. But is an important thing because the governor's office politically wants to kind of keep distance from a very controversial project. So it doesn't say anything about support or anything like that. It's you can engage in conversations. Coincidentally, tomorrow morning, the business development director, who's brand new, and her deputy are meeting at OMIC. And Senator Johnson will be there. Senator Johnson supports the project. She supports our organization. Fortuitously, we have found a way to have a board meeting at OMIC tomorrow morning, where the CEO of Next is providing an update. So we're going to have a nice little convergence of all these people we want working on this project, all in the same room at the same time, and do what we can to put it along. The open house last Thursday, I thought went well. It was the port sponsored, so of course a few other things came up with rezone and various other things. 60-ish people there. I would say 80-20 in support. Some really good questions, some other, some tough questions, and some questions that can't be answered, just simply can't be answered. But a very civil discussion, which I think is really important. And I think that it also tilled up, probably 10 or 12 good questions that next needs to go back, or the port need to go back and research and get the answers to those questions they just weren't able to address. The first, and what I hope will be a number of public meetings, not just permit hearings, but they need to just keep having open houses and let people come and talk to them and ask them questions about these things, as opposed to the contentiousness that is always going to happen when DLCD holds a hearing on a land use permit. I mean, that brings out everybody. So I'm pleased with the process. It seems to be much more on course than it was for quite some time. And they've signed a lease with the port. Things are falling into place. And I've worked on some really big projects, and I really like this permit team. They're Oregon. They didn't ship anybody from outside who says, what the hell's with land use and regulatory permits in Oregon? These people know it. They live it. They're good at it, and they know the property. So I'm cautiously optimistic, and they're doing the right things. They're getting out in the community now. They're talking to people. They're holding meetings. Permit process has not hit me brick walls yet. And the fact that they can now talk with other state agencies and state government to talk about how this thing can be put together. Those are good signs.
Well, it would be huge for our county if we can get that going, and it would promote small business growth.
Oh, yes.
So it's all connected.
Yep.
So that's why I asked.
Yep. No, you get me started on some of these things and I don't shut up. But that's the thing is people look at the job count on a project that size, but think about maintenance. Think about the carpenters. Think about the folks who are going to, it's not just building this thing, it's
Maintaining it.
It's maintaining it.
And
it's over 200 full-time, $80,000 a year jobs. I mean,
That's unfortunate. You said we have a governor that's trying to shy away from it.
she's not trying to shy away.
Default.
This is a good, because I've worked on a couple of projects where she did shy away. And that makes it very, very difficult. What she does do is if it's a high visibility project, her economic advisor has to get permission and pass that permission on down to the economic development department to be talking with the company because of the political signals that it might send. And it's just how that governor's office operates.
It's unfortunate. If I was governor, I'd go cut a tree down on that poor property, crawl up on the stump and promote that. You know, it's ridiculous the way they stop businesses in Columbia County and Oregon to me, but I don't.
This is not an easy state to do business.
Maybe if she supported, there'd be a bunch of people that would come out against it. So who knows?
There would be. There would be. But you're going to have some against, you're going to have some for. So just do the hard, good work, be transparent, and build momentum, and we'll get it done.
Well, we can hope.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you very much for your time.
Paul, good presentation.
Thank you.
Okay.
We're up.
Staff proposal.
Well, so come sit here.
So this is coming to you guys because obviously we have a problem in our parks. And we've been reviewing camera systems for a while to try to come up with an option that'll work. In locations where we have limited to no connectivity with chat services, such as Spencer Park, there's no internet there, so I can put a camera up, but I can't view the camera. I did a bunch of research. We found Verkada camera systems. The technology is amazing. We could put, just go back a little bit, we could put a whole bunch of cheap cameras everywhere, but if all I see is a ghost image, it was a waste of money. And that's kind of what we get out of a lot of the lower end cameras, where there's not enough light and you get a ghost image. You see, yeah, there was something there. There was a car there. There was a person there, but there's no way you're going to ever identify them. So it becomes a waste. At any rate, we went through, I've been reviewing Verkada camera for, about a month now. We have one connected in the office we've been playing with. I've had an opportunity to play with the software. The software is simple, stupid. These cameras have capability of doing a wide range of searching by color, by person. It's not facial recognition. I don't want to get into too much technical stuff. Facial recognition, it's kind of person recognition. So if we upload a known image, then the camera will be able to identify that person.
And follow it?
I don't know if it can follow it or not. That would be more of a technical question. We have Jake from Verkada here with us, and he can kind of explain some of the technical data surrounding that and it's the camera capabilities.
How's it going, guys? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, good evening. Thanks for having us virtually. You're here. I'm Jake. I handle all of Oregon for the cities, counties, school districts, colleges for Verkada products. And I have with me, I have Ben Kadosh, our solutions engineer, to help advise on some of the technical questions as well. And we have Martin Fawn, one of our West Coast managers. So we're all part of the same team. We're excited to work with Chief and really get him excited and understand kind of the magnitude of what Verkada is going to be able to do for you. More in turn with increasing drastically the safety around the city, protecting the citizens, but just making your lives a whole lot easier for those that are in need of responding to these incidents and be notified of these incidents. So I kind of wanted to, I don't think it might be possible for us to share the screen. I did want to kind of open it up. I can go into a high level overview of the product and just kind of the solution. Go ahead.
I can let you share your screen.
Okay, let's see if it works. That would be great. Yeah, I was going to go just through a high level overview and then maybe jump into a few of the high, features of the product. Let's see if it could work. What do you mean?
Should be able to now.
At the bottom, there should be the 4.
There's my camera and screen. If you hit screen, it should show us what you're looking at.
Yeah, it looks like I might need to go into the settings. We don't use GoToMeeting. We usually use Zoom. So I might have a little bit of work to do here. Give me 1 second. Ben, do you think I should, do you have an idea of how we can get this thing shared?
Do you see the 4 dots on the bottom, Jake?
I do, yeah. Once I click it, I think it's asking me to go into the general settings.
Oh, I see.
It also says you need to be a presenter, but if you want, I can drop real quick and see if I could adjust my settings, and then maybe I could share on my screen.
Do you want me to make you the presenter, Ben?
Or me, that would work. That would work too.
Yeah, see if you can make Jake a presenter.
Okay. I also did shoot over some attachments to you guys, Stephanie, and to Chief's email. So
They have them all.
okay, great. Yeah, and I added that our little PowerPoint to it, which I don't know if we sent over yet. Let me
It's okay, we
know.
can just go without it if you want.
Okay. So we can kind of just discuss, and I'll kind of highlight all of the benefits, but really at a 10,000 foot level, the goal of Verkada is the mission is to create the most modern enterprise security solution, and that's just to increase safety and security and in a much more user-friendly experience than what you guys may currently be used to, and what we've discussed with Chief on some of those older traditional models. What makes Verkada special is the fact that not only do we do the cameras, but we have the environmental sensors. We have access control, and we also have intrusion alarms. So what nobody else has been able to do kind of on the market, and what makes us, the fastest growing company in the world for physical security, is based off of the single pane of glass, one umbrella for all of your security solutions to be managed on that same platform. And you can manage it from anywhere in the world on your cell phone, on our iOS app, and on your laptop. If you're on vacation in Hawaii, Chief, he might not want the notifications, but he'll still have access to the cameras if he wants. So that's the benefit. It's the single pane of glass with our high-end, highly AI capable cameras. So what we kind of ensure is really the ease of use. So again, being able to not have to utilize an NVR or DVR system, we remove that entire thick client infrastructure, and we just have that plug and play camera, and all of the storage is done on the camera. So making it easy to scale across many sites. If you guys start with the proposal we have here and decide to add more cameras down the line in different areas of the parks, it's very easy to set up and to get those cameras onto your current platform. So managing multiple sites, which I know is what's happening here, is the benefit, again, with Verkada. We also are highly efficient with shortening the incident response. So what used to really take hours now takes seconds to find footage, save it, share it out with local law enforcement in real time. We can share live links. So you can share live site plans, right? So if you upload one of your parks or your campgrounds and you have multiple cameras there, you can send that site over to law enforcement if there's an issue or an incident that needs response, and they can watch the footage live as they're responding to the scene. So our ability to share footage in case of those incidents is what makes us very valuable, especially for cities that have been known to experience some of these vandalism or activities around the area. And as well, identifying facility issues. This goes into more so with our environmental sensors as well. So being able to not only have footage of what the cameras can see, but if there are spikes with your environmental sensors, which Chief and I have, I think, placed or plan to place in the restrooms at these public places, if there's any particulate matter, vape smoke, any drug use going on in these bathrooms, the environmental sensors will pick up those spikes, and they will, and you will be able to get those alerts on your platform. And also, having a camera outside of the bathroom, you'll be able to see who walked out and have those integration timed events happen together. So it makes investigating those situations very effective. I think just the last thing as far as the security platform, when talking about our AI features, you can look people up by their attributes, whether it's the color of their shirt and the male or female. And you can also have faces uploaded, like Chief was saying, on particular people. So if you wanted to upload a face, you can get those notifications proactively in the response of any of those incidents. So just kind of keeping it high level, it's a very user-friendly system that is extremely intricate. And what we've been able to do is provide a lot of our cities and counties, including the city of Bend, including the city of Ontario, and many others that you'll see on that PDF PowerPoint. But we've been able to ensure security in a timely fashion where they can view remotely work with law enforcement, share footage, save it, unlimited archivability to their platform. So like I said, increasing safety and increasing efficiency in a much more user-friendly fashion is what our claim to fame is. And when talking about the purchasing of the product, so what you're actually getting is the camera itself with the amount of storage on there, which is 30-day storage. There's I think 2 different camera models on there, and and then you're purchasing a license. So we provided you guys with the 10-year license. So what that means is from now, if you purchase the project at hand, you do not have any additional payments for 10 years. So what that gets you is 10-year warranty, no matter what. If there's something malfunctions with the cameras, you guys get that replaced. 10-year warranty, I think industry standard is around 2 years. Also, we have the automatic firmware updates. So you're probably saying, well, if I buy in for a 10-year license, what are the cameras going to be like in a few years from now? They actually we do automatic firmware updates. So any new feature like that face search feature I was mentioning that came out several months ago, you would get all of our new features for free. So no additional payments on the features, no additional maintenance costs. You get unlimited tech support. You also have myself and Ben as your first line of defense at any time. And going from there really is just the ability to not have any additional payments. There's a lot of programs out there for month-to-month payments and having to figure out the budget and making sure you have enough for those months. We put it into years so you can continue on with your camera easily, easily train or pass the system along to the next person up in line. And you get all of these new features that we are going to be releasing in the next year, 2 years, 5 years for free. So that is the absolute benefit. Nobody else is able to provide a scope like that. And if you guys wanted to add more, again, scaling cameras is very easy to do. Same thing with the sensors. We have the environmental sensor with the license of the environmental sensor, and same rules apply with the warranty, with automatic firmware updates, and all of that is done on that centralized management platform. So I'm sure Chief could attest, which he already kind of has, on making his life a lot easier. The camera's doing all the work, and really just increasing the security level and the ease of use on that platform to where you're actually able to act upon the footage, find it easily, and share it out. So that's kind of high level. It would be great I'm sure we can answer any questions you might have on the camera itself and maybe pick it up from there.
One of the cameras that were listed in the quote here is specifically for reading license plates.
Yes.
Explain a little bit about that.
The number 2.
Correct.
The Bolton.
So the CB6130 telephoto bullet camera, so that actually has all of the qualities that the CD61 camera has, but it does have an additional feature which reads license plates. So if you were to find a vehicle, you wanted to look up the license plate number, you can type that in and you can find every single time that vehicle has come in or out of that area or space. So it's a very effective camera. I think it blew Chief away a little bit. So I think seeing it obviously is the benefit, but again, all of the cameras we have listed, the CB camera and the CD61, they do all of the analytics. It's just that particular camera has the ability to do the license plate features. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
What's the night vision?
Night vision is color night vision, correct?
Correct. They still record overnight, and definitely we've had recordings of able to get great recognition out of incidents and response that happens at night. So there is a night mode on there that automatically comes with the cameras.
And that's full color, as I recall, correct?
Say that again.
That's full color.
So
it depends.
Go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, it'll depend on how much contextual light you have in that area. If there's enough like ambient light, depending on whether or not the camera actually goes into night mode, where it'll turn on its IR illuminators essentially. In that case, it'll really be more black and white with that IR lighting. But if, for example, it's a parking lot and it has some additional like street lights, then you could certainly pick up the color associated with it.
Street lights would be all right.
Yeah.
That's where we would be getting power from anyway, probably a lighting pole or
Yeah.
buildings.
So I've never heard of Verkada. Can you guys tell me a little more about your company, when it was founded, who owns it, and what it's worth in dollar value?
Absolutely. So we've been in business for about 5 years. We are the fastest growing physical security company ever. We basically were founded by a group of Stanford and MIT computer scientists, one of them being the former founder of Meraki, Hans Robertson, who sold that company to Cisco for 1.2 billion, I believe. We actually just got our Series C funding, valuated at probably well above 2 billion at this point. But we've grown tremendously fast in a short period of time. That's just because of the efficiency of the cameras, what they can do, but also our ability to continue to release more products than really any tech company is able to release in a year's time. We continue to roll out that entire ecosystem for a building. It's what helps us grow fast. And the idea of Verkada is that ecosystem, having every part of your building covered under Verkada solution. So it's all on that centralized management platform. So not only talking with cameras, sensors, but again, into access control and then into doing intrusion alarms. So that's a product we just released a few months back. So you can probably assume where we're going with our next ventures and products that are going to be pertaining to buildings. But being a Verkada customer, understanding that the different areas of security that you bring in are all going to be able to be under that one umbrella. So we've grown pretty fast, and we're definitely have a bright future ahead.
So what's the size of the ownership? How many people are involved? You said a group, but you didn't give me a number.
A group. I can actually go ahead and let Martin, he could speak on that a bit. He's our West Coast manager, and has been in the company much longer than I have. But Martin, you want to jump in?
Yeah, as of today, we're close to hitting about 615 employees. I joined here about 2 years ago, and we were north about 150. So we've grown quite a bit over the past 2 years. What's really exciting here at Verkada is our timeline releasing new products. As Jake mentioned earlier, we started out with cameras, and then we wanted to build a full platform. So now we integrate with door access controls, giving you aligned video with door badging systems. Also, we just launched the sensors, which are smart sensors that can measure air quality, vaping, humidity, and a lot of other things, but really giving you a way to drive safety to the next level. Then more recently, we're super excited to be able to add on our alarms and intrusion detection. So imagine if you have bay alarms and be able to get these alerts. What we've done differently is be able to give you alarms with video verification. This is huge for cities. In fact, it's such a big thing across the US and other places. A lot of times about 95% of alarms and alerts actually false positives, which really can cost a lot of money and changes the behavior of police and fire. But here you have the ability to leverage one of our call centers and then be able to turn on video verification, and then it goes through a process tree to determine if this is really an incident. So it really gives you more control and be able to reduce these false alarms, but really giving you the right protocol to ensure that when something goes wrong, dispatch police can happen right away because you're seeing what's going on.
Yeah, Marty, I'm gonna jump in real quick. Just drawing back to their question on the company, we are privately held. Again, the management, we are still a private company, definitely moving into that upper direction and fairly quickly. So I wanted to make sure we did answer that before we got into too much more product details. Any other questions real quick about the size of the company, the kind of timeline and where we're going?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, it's really that speed of coming to market and then growing past pretty much as far as faster than anybody has been able to grow. And that's a test to some of our big investors as well that I didn't mention, Meritech and Sequoia, some of the same ones that helped Uber and Facebook get to where they are. They're supporting us, and like I said, we just got our Series C funding, so we're very excited for the next chapter. And again, I think our product speaks for itself, and will definitely help you guys out in a various amount of ways. One also thing that I will touch on, there is a variety of features that we have that are COVID related, response related, whether that be contact tracing, having all of that data for these COVID features reported on a specific data sheet that you can actually. Can you guys hear me? Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry
You're
about
back.
that. Yeah, so I was just saying, just to touch on the COVID response, with our various COVID response features, the Verkada solution does fall under those grants in response to COVID-19. So a lot of our cities have utilized those grants in that funding to purchase our solution to help keep upgrade really the safety and security of the city. So in cities like Bend, like I said, Bend, Oregon, Ontario, we have a list of them that I provided you. I think not all of them, just a good amount for you to kind of reference on that PowerPoint as well. So definitely wanted to throw that in there.
Speaking of your product, who manufactures it and where?
I can let Ben Kadosh speak on that. He's part of that.
Yeah, so we manufacture and design everything end to end, with the majority of it being assembled in Taiwan.
I can't hear you.
Taiwan.
But important to know, we manufacture everything.
The one thing to note here, though, all of our chipsets are US-based chipsets. It's actually from a company called Ambarella, who is actually one of the leaders in this space. But our chipset is actually a US-based manufacturer called Ambarella.
And just to emphasize again on what Ben was saying, we do all the manufacturing.
Yeah, and maybe to kind of.
These are all Ethernet connected though, right?
Can you talk a little bit about the connectivity there? That has to be through a network bridge, is that correct?
Yeah, so all of the cameras are powered over Ethernet, that's correct. In terms of connectivity, depending on where they're located, you would need connectivity either through a wired connection. Depending on the camera, you could do wireless, have a wireless bridge, or a cellular router, which was something we see quite frequently in certain city deployments, especially in parks. It's easier to set up a cellular router sometimes, so that's something that you could certainly use as a solution as well.
And that's how they make it to where we don't have to have wires to connect. So we're still,
It's like
it'll still have to.
But we still have to have service there somewhere.
Well, the information sign has service
Oh, okay.
built into it. So there is
At the lake, we would have,
Susie's.
and we'd have at Anderson.
Yeah, Anderson has service, wireless. Hawkins is not.
Hawkins were dark,
So
And then Spencer as well.
it said it stored it on the camera itself,
Yeah, it
but
does
you
store
can
it on
also
the
view it or
It goes to the cloud, correct?
Well, it's got to be
Correct.
connected.
Wireless cloud, yeah, but the data is stored on the camera.
So correct. So the solid state drive has the footage, and what it does, if you have a 30-day retention model, it'll store footage for that 30 days, and it will shoot up those. All it does is send encrypted thumbnails and metadata to the cloud for viewing, so you guys can view it wherever you need to view it from. But you are able to archive unlimitedly. So if there's any clip over that 30 days that you deem essential to look at later on, maybe saving it for an investigation, anything like that, you have the ability to archive as many clips as you want. So that's the benefit with us as well. In that digital library, you'll see all of your clips saved, and you can share those archive clips with local law enforcement, district attorney. They all have watermarks on the top left, so it's all admissible in court. So if that makes sense.
So if a camera was in a park and it was constantly going off by people walking through it, how much footage would it be able to hold? You know what I mean?
It records nonstop. It's not based off motion. The cameras will pick everything up no matter what. If you want to be notified in certain times of the night, if somebody comes across a specific box you draw on that camera, maybe by the dumpster or by the front gate, it's called a motion grid search. You can put that right there, and you won't be notified unless anybody comes within that particular space. You can choose to do the whole frame. So the cameras, they record 24/7, and that you will be able to see those thumbnails up to whatever your retention needs are from today back 30 days is what I think the models you have. And every day will drop off, and it'll continue with the past 30 days.
What kind of tech support does your company offer? Because some of us older people aren't real savvy with this stuff.
That's really the best part. Our team, I mean, we have that on the Verkada command. There is a help chat that you can chat in, ask a question. I think 95% of our support has been completed, or any issue has been resolved over the web. So our team is there for you, but you also have myself and Ben Kadosh, who are at your side the whole journey. So if anything happens that you maybe need to learn about something, or how to do a specific feature, or if a camera goes offline or is uploading new firmware, and you have those questions, you can reach out to me first and we can get it handled. Or, if it's 3 a.m. Or maybe early on in the morning, you can go ahead and use the help desk. But we're pretty good about getting back to you. And I pride myself definitely on being the first line of defense and solving those issues. And we'll escalate it to our team if needed. But it's unlimited support.
Yeah, during hours to 1 a.m. until 6 p.m. It's every request is answered within 5 minutes. A lot of companies can't offer that. So yeah, it's a really good. We have some top-notch support folks here over at Verkada.
How is it powered? I mean, internal battery.
Standard plug-in. We have to have power to power them.
Okay.
So that's why we're looking at the power poles, specifically Spencer Park.
So they're hardware.
We're looking hardware, yeah.
So,
And up out of reach, but we can use our city bucket truck to pick them.
Yeah.
Keep them out of harm's way.
Oh, yeah.
You can mount them up 20 feet.
Yeah. Like these are on around here. You could just mount
So
them on
they 360 rotate up and down. How much rotation do you have?
Those aren't PTZ at all, I don't think. They're going to be a standard frame.
So if it's mounted sideways, I mean, does it just shoot straight out, or is it going to just, you lose, you can't tilt the angle?
Yeah, you can move it. You just can't do that remotely. So you can set it up wherever you want to.
the frame.
But that's the frame you're going to
The
get.
initial set.
Unless, I believe you guys have a PTZ camera as well too, correct?
We do. We have a fisheye camera, our CF81. It does 180 degrees. It is EPTZ, so you can actually move the camera around with the mouse. And it also up to 180, 360. It can do 360 degree view. So it could be a good option if there's areas that you think that would fit best. But yeah, that is definitely an option for you guys.
So are most of these camera horizontal mounted to poles and walls? Is that what they're typically set up for? Or are they ceiling mount?
Go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, so I think it really depends on your preference. We have like a whole list of accessory mounts depending on where you want to mount it. In certain areas, of course, we'll see ceiling mounts. In other areas, we see arm mounts with pendant caps or L brackets, angle mounts. We have pole mounts, of course. So it really depends on location by location.
So there's a housing that the wiring would go into and act like a junction box type thing?
Yeah, and
All I see is a
for all of
camera.
there's a mounting plate on the back of each camera that you can unscrew and essentially mount. So for the standard mounting plates, you could screw it into a junction box, for example, drill it into a wall. You can use like those forget the type of wire if you wanted to just kind of hold on, I'll get the name for you, but you could essentially clench it from the back as well. So there are a bunch of different ways to mount it depending on the use case. But typically we recommend, especially for the domes, to kind of have them facing down as a more like a ceiling mount versus a wall, so that you're not getting as much glare from the sun at certain times.
And another thing to keep in mind, so the CD61 cameras, which you guys have the majority of the cameras on that proposal, so those are great because when placed right in certain areas, you're going to get those close-ups of faces and things like that when looking for particular people. The CD61 camera is really good for that. Maybe Ben could chime in a little bit on the field of view on the CD61.
Yeah, for sure. So for the CD61, what's great about the camera is that it has a varifocal lens, so you could optically zoom in. So if it's not optically zoomed in at all, you'd have a field of view horizontally of 116 degrees. If you did optically zoom it in all the way, you'd get up to 41 degrees. So you'll have some flexibility with how zoomed in you want to be. With that being said, it'll also narrow your field of view, but it does give you that added flexibility, which is why a lot of our customers like that camera.
Ben, if you could speak a little bit between, maybe the use case for the CD61 or our fisheye CF81.
Yeah, so I think our CD51 and 61, our dome cameras, are like the workhorse cameras. Those are what most of our customers will use in the day-to-day. You'll get a very wide angle of coverage while still getting, very rich analytics. You'll have that varifocal lens, so you could do the optical zoom. You'll have the extended IR range. Some of those things are not as built out necessarily with the fisheye, but with that being said, the fisheye supports our quad box view, so you can essentially have 4 different views within one camera. You can do the 180-degree panoramic, and then you could also do the EPTZ. So it gives you a lot more functionality depending on the use case, but I think typically we focus on the dome cameras or the CD61s because the analytics are so rich there, and you have the varifocal lens.
Correct. So yeah, that was what I was emphasizing with the domes. It's the rich analytics that you'll definitely want. The fisheye will help you with maybe if you had to cover a broad space and you don't have anywhere to put a camera on the other side of that area, it could help add some perspective on the wider range of the area. Does that make sense, guys?
Yeah. I'm having a hard time hearing one of those guys, but which camera is the best one for on a pole with direct sunlight on it?
Rain.
Which one?
And rain.
61.
I would say the dome series should be the preferred camera for that. I mean, really depending on how high you guys are trying to place these, but again, having that optical zoom will be able to get you, closer into areas that you might need to be visually. So that I think is probably the best choice. And we should also discussing kind of as you guys look at the proposal and figuring out really where you're going to want to be placing these. As Ben said, they all come with a standard mount on the back of these cameras. However, if it's going to be going onto a pole, there's different ways that we can get that done. He touched on it a little bit, but we do have accessory mounts that could help with certain areas. So just to keep that in mind.
Just so you guys are all aware, this price does not include installation.
Right.
That's something completely different. We've been using 5-star, or we have our own electrician that's been doing our installs locally. I believe Verkada could come out and do the installs. Is that correct?
Correct. So we work 100% through channel. So basically the partner that we had quote out the product here, if you needed us to send someone from their camp out to your guys' site and get you guys drawn up and figure out exactly how these would get placed, we can absolutely do that. Also, if you have, like you mentioned, somebody that is familiar with the city and, you've worked with in the past, I'm sure the prices probably won't be too far from each other. So if you're comfortable with them, we can work with them as well, and get them, comfortable with how we would move forward in installation. The cameras traditionally are fairly easy to set up. It's really just about making sure we're getting it set up with the connectivity portion in that scenario. So
I set the one up in the office, so it wasn't too awfully difficult.
yeah, they're plug and play. That's the slang for Verkada. Plug and play cameras. They're very easy to set up, and I think there's probably more cases than not that you guys can get them put up in the right area you need. But for the specific maybe pole mount or something like that where you needed some advice, I mean, there's probably a lot we can give you over the phone, or we can work with your guys' installation rep over there and work with them on it. So it shouldn't be too much as far as installation. It's not that many cameras. It's just making sure we get the connectivity portion there. And it sounds like you guys might already have a few solutions there. So
I have a question. Do you have a minimum requirement for the connectivity? Because that would be something we would need to know ahead of time before. What is it going to take to make sure they all don't lag out?
So go ahead, Ben. I saw you click on it.
Yeah, do you mean in terms of bandwidth?
Yeah, any and all of it. We're kind of a small rural town that doesn't have a ton of, just broadband anywhere. So
Sure.
we'd want advice on what we need to put in there that's almost overkill.
Yeah,
Right.
for sure. Understood. So the great part about our solution is really twofold. When the cameras are just recording or in a steady state and not being viewed, you're looking at like a really low bandwidth footprint of about 20 kilobits per second. That's like the equivalent of sending an email. So the only really time you'll ever see a spike is if you're trying to view the camera footage. So really like 80 or 90% of the time is just recording, right? And then when you do want to access it, that's when you'll see those peaks. If you want to view it in 4K, you're usually looking at like 1.5 to 2 megabits per camera. So then, if you wanted to do the math, you would say, okay, that times the number of cameras you would get if they're all on the same network at the same time. Another way to also kind of confirm, sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Ben.
Depending on the connectivity, is like if you want to know if it's getting good range, is like go out to wherever it is, and if you can connect through your phone or laptop, if you could still get good connectivity, that'll be a good kind of gauge for whether or not the cameras will experience any lag or things like that.
And just to put it into perspective, Verkada's solution, we are by far the most bandwidth friendly solution on the market. So compared to any other option that you guys would look at, it doesn't even come close. That's a huge pain point for customers in the past, and a reason again why we've been able to kind of get into a lot of these cities and rural areas is because of being the most bandwidth friendly solution on the market.
So what was the basic warranty? I know you said if we buy the 10-year thing, you'll replace it, but if the basic warranty on it, then what is the lens made out of? Because a lot of that plastic will turn yellow and hazy after a few years in the sun, and then it's no good.
The warranty on the cameras is 10 years. So it's a 10-year warranty regardless. So if you purchase our cameras today, 10 years from now, you have that that you qualify in that realm. As far as the lenses getting dirty and things like that, I can maybe let Ben or Martin speak further on that. Since a lot of our cameras that have been out there for years on end, we haven't seen too many issues with them breaking down. I can attest to that for sure, just based off what we've been learning around the solution. So Martin, maybe you want to touch on that a little bit.
Yeah, as far as the lens cover, and I get where you're coming from. It's if it's always in direct sunlight, there's chance it'll be heat exposed. But we've tested this in the Mojave Desert and really some really hot areas. In fact, some of my biggest customers are in Palm Springs and also in El Centro, which gets to, I think it's 120, 125-ish. But yeah, under the 10-year warranty, will replace your lens covers if they become sun faded or need a replacement. The cool thing about Verkada is you'll probably be able to detect that right away through looking into the command center, and then also get an alert if it becomes where it's unusual. The smart cameras have the ability to detect anomalies from being able to record. We call these eclosion events. So where something as simple as someone spray painting. But to your question though, if something happens, we're happy to replace it. It's covered under your 10-year warranty for you guys.
Thank you. You know what I mean? You see headlights all the time that they
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
Yeah, the temperature check on the cameras is superior in the market. As he was saying, it's been tested in those hot Mojave Desert heat, and also in the very cold temperatures. And the kind of mechanics within the camera is definitely allowing it to stay efficient through those vast temperatures. So I definitely think your guys' area, hopefully, I mean, maybe not over the past couple of weeks, I heard there was a big heat wave, but you should be okay. So it's kind of perfect timing for that question. We'll definitely be the right solution.
All right, you guys got anything else?
Any other questions?
I don't have any more. So it's something for everybody to review and think about, and we'll come back to it.
Yep.
All right,
Thank you.
thanks, Jake.
Thank you, Jake.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, we appreciate it. Let us know, as far as needing anything else for next steps, we'll make ourselves available and get it taken care of.
I got one more question. If we ordered, when would we get the product?
So that's a good question, and I didn't want to jump the gun there, but we definitely currently we have stock in the cameras. As we come up and approach the end of our quarter here, the July 31st, orders continue to come in at a high rate at the end of our quarter. So maybe the longer you wait would probably be a little bit more delayed. I don't know if we should see any true delays, especially with this quantity of cameras. So, the goal really was to be able to get this taken care of and get you guys the hardware in the month of July. So there's no true delay. That's some of the pricing incentives that we were able to get with our partner on, and understanding, wanting to present this to you guys and get everybody's blessing on it. If we're able to get the order out, shortly, or get the PO, the camera, you shouldn't have any delays in the cameras. The one camera that does have a delay is the CB61 telephoto. So with that delay, it's nothing extensive. I think it would probably be a month after your order, somewhere around that time. So the longer you wait, obviously, is definitely going to affect it. And again, that end of quarter, end of July is where we get a lot of traffic for our some of our customers. So we want to make sure that if it is the right solution for you, if you guys do like it and you want to move forward, we definitely get the hardware placed, so there's no real delay in cameras, and then we can associate and help with the installation of the product.
Who controls the manufacture of the software?
We do. It's our software. So the hardware and software are both Verkada. It's called Verkada Command. And that's what is the centralized management platform for all of your hardware that you purchase. And you, again, for viewing, it's single sign-on protected. We integrate with all of those identity providers, so keeping your account safe. And with as far as the cloud goes, it's AWS is our cloud platform. So the best one in the game.
I don't have any more questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Thanks so much.
And I hate to run off on you, but I got to ride back down the hill. It's getting dark.
Oh, yeah. Watch out for the critters.
Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Chief.
Josette, where was he thinking about? You were looking at 9 CD61 dome cameras and then that one specialty, the CB61.
Yeah.
Where was he thinking about putting that one?
Well, he was talking about, I believe, either this side or in that area as you go up the hill, just so it's catching traffic.
Oh, here and on Main Street.
Could be on City Hall, that'd be an easy one because we already have all
And
the
it does
stuff you need.
detect license.
So you know
plates.
there's a really good chance as soon as this takes off, the MIT guys sell it off to Cisco or somebody else, and then you're dealing with somebody else. So, I mean, they've already done it once. I mean, they do it all the time. They get a company going, they sell it for $1 billion, or it hits the stock market and it changes hands.
Sure.
I mean, there's always that risk, right?
Yeah,
But when they say 10-year warranty,
I think they'd probably have to keep the 10-year warranty. The
Oh, yeah.
tricky part might be the support might change depending on,
Still an excellent product.
one time I had a 5-year warranty on something. If you didn't use it, you got your money back. I went back there 5 years and one day, they sold it off to another company and too bad.
yeah.
So it's like, just kind of take it for a grain of salt. They have to be
Yeah.
in place to get your 10 years worth, right?
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to come up with, I mean, that, so we don't know where he was planning. He had 10 cameras in here. I mean, the one here, and I know why he wants that one.
Yeah.
Because you could identify every vehicle that if we have a crime in town.
Sure, or
You know who
crime,
was active
you
at
know
that
someone's coming from a different jurisdiction in
Right.
town. That's the other reason.
We're seeing that 3X zoom one would probably be better for large areas. I don't know how, what's a zoom automatically or what, just
Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe because you're way away and you want to zoom in
yeah,
on an area.
you might be able to optically zoom remotely. I don't know.
that's
Those
what
would be-
that one is.
Those would be really expensive if you can run it. He said they had one that you can.
Yeah,
We have some of those at work that you can, but those are, pretty big money.
it's kind of Mission Impossible stuff right there.
Right?
Someone's got to sit around and run that thing.
Yeah,
Right.
kidding.
So ultimately, this first 230, if you guys chose to do everything, you're not going to hit that. So at a meeting, so I've been trying to, Public Works isn't meeting. There's a few things I wanted to run past them before I did proposals on infrastructure items. But one of the things is it doesn't look like ODOT's going to let us reapply for the SCA for 2022 because they're requiring it to be fully closed out with the ADA ramps before they'll let us apply. So we are going to have a gap in paving money in 2022 that potentially we could identify some of this money to be infrastructure or putting people back to work or whatever the different criterias are and do some of those safety areas that maybe we wouldn't get funded under SCA.
Oh, so you think we could use some of this?
I think we could.
Really?
Yeah. Because if you look at, and I printed it out for you guys, so I didn't make you another copy, but let me pull up the,
I thought we had till July 31st to pour those two little things. Why can't we just do it?
You have to, by July 31st to pour
Do
them,
it.
get it approved, get it funded, and apply for the next one.
And you don't think that's going to happen?
no, because they're requiring us to reimburse us and close it is what ODOT's requiring before our application can be heard, which would never happen. Even if I did them tomorrow, we would pay for them. We'd send in our reimbursement. They'd take 2 weeks. They'd give us the money, but they still wouldn't have closed it. So that's what the email I got today said. So that's one option is that we, figure out what it wouldn't pay for anyway.
Yeah, because originally we were under the impression that streets wouldn't qualify.
It wasn't me that was under that impression.
Oh, really?
No, because I saw, hold on, let me find it. I'm trying to find the dang thing. I'm on the other one. So the big headers are public health response, which that's not it. Addressing negative impacts caused by public health emergency, not really it. So there's a couple weird ones. So where is it?
No, I mean, regardless,
Yeah.
who do we ask to make sure?
Well,
How do you do?
that's the thing that I think that what we'd probably have to do, and they have pretty clear things of what they won't do. ineligible things. So you can't do it to backfill unreceived tax revenue.
Right.
That's not, they won't let us do that. It can't be deposited to a pension fund. Those are the two ineligible uses. So if it fits in any of these criteria, investing in broadband infrastructure, investing in sewer water infrastructure.
It said sewer and water, but we didn't say roads.
Well, but that's the interesting thing is, so some of our things we have to do, we need to upgrade the sewer and water underneath where the road's going to get capped. So if that's the project, you're tearing up the road, you're going to put it back. But I think we could easily send these questions to somebody on the US Treasury thing and flesh them out. But the crazy part is there are people so this is the kind of infrastructure thing that I went with for the CARES funding for Louisiana.
Right.
And at that point, they were saying, well, someone's applying for the roof of a gym.
Yeah.
So it's these crazy things. At least ours have some, connection to actual infrastructure, actual citizens, actually getting people back to work, all that kind of thing.
So I don't want to lose sight of why the money is sent to the community. To me, it's the small businesses that got hurt and the people who got hurt the most from COVID, not necessarily paving a street because we didn't do what it took to close out a grant. I'm worried about the businesses that have taken a hit here in town. We haven't even talked about that yet. And we haven't talked about our workers. Some of them are out there cleaning COVID restrooms and we could give them a bonus up to 150% of their wages. Or they let you go 50% more on their wages or something. I think there's language in there. And there was 2 or 3 people in this town that did the dirty work. Are we going to talk about helping the small businesses out that were probably affected more than anybody?
I think we should.
So logistically, I don't know how you quantify who hurt worse.
Well,
It's a nightmare.
I can tell you one quantify is that gets out that we gave Columbia County a bunch of money for small business upstarts, and you're going to have businesses here going, what about us that have been sitting here suffering through COVID shutdowns and changes and expense?
But I think they're going to say that anyway. No matter what you do with this money, you're going to have people that say that. My concern is, how do you legitimately pick? What does someone have to prove to you that their hardship was? And then how do you quantify that with a number? That's where it makes it.
Who got?
Well, you don't know if they got PPE, which I don't know that we can ask them. Maybe we could. You don't know kind of who retroed it and went straight to takeout and did better than they would do in a regular year because people aren't into coming out in the winter. Or do you know what I'm saying? Like, how would you
So they
guys,
had to show financials to get help
to who?
to the federal government.
Oh, yeah.
They had to show that they lost significant revenue to apply, right?
Right.
So those people that applied have already went through the paperwork. They could bring that paperwork in here. And if they didn't apply, then they could still do the same type of paperwork and show. I mean, we know some businesses were fine. We know some businesses that weren't fine.
Some lost employees.
I just think it's a chance to help our own community before we start helping other communities in a way. If we give Columbia County so-and-so
Right.
$20,000 and we don't do anything for the people right here on Main Street, they're going to.
But that's the other flip side of it is not all the businesses are on Main Street.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a logistic nightmare for me to even get my brain around how you would legitimize giving this person $100 and this person $1,000. I don't even know.
And that's where I kind of fall back on, okay, what benefits the community as a whole? Everybody's going to share in the benefit we know we have a paving deficit in this town. We're really struggling how, if we're going to miss $100,000 opportunity here, that's putting us behind. Streets deteriorate.
Well, that's kind of our fault.
No, it's not our fault.
No.
Or if it's not our fault, then we need to make the case to ODOT that it's their fault.
No, they know it's their fault. They're still sticking to their thing because they got sued for however many billions of dollars and are required to do this fix up to the ADA ramps, which they can't tell you how to design them. They can just take your design and poo-poo it back and forth until you're past your deadline, which I don't think we still even have a response, and we sent it to them a week and a half ago, the final plans. So it's,
But if we're paying things off because right now we only, maybe $30,000 a year in the streets fund.
right.
For some of these streets, we may not be able to get the ODOT grant money for. So, that puts us behind the 8 ball. Another option is investing in water infrastructure that we know we're going to have to replace.
Streets.
That's going to save everybody on their rates. Everybody shares in this pain. When we were talking about putting a gas tax on,
Right.
everybody would have shared in that pain. But if we can pay for these things without implementing those things, everybody gets a benefit.
So Public Works isn't here. They haven't submitted anything, correct?
No, Jeff still,
We talked about inviting him, but I don't see him here, so.
you mean the committee or Jeff?
Yeah.
No, he's still out with injuries, so
Oh, I thought he was back.
no, he sets up his guys, but he's not, he's still doing physical therapy
In
and
and out.
he's trying to keep his department rolling, but
Still getting paid?
yeah.
Well, then he could send over an email list, couldn't he, of projects? That's not that hard to type it up.
Yeah, that's not really how it works.
Not?
No.
Can we determine, just say, for example, our restaurants here in Vernonia? We could determine they were shut down, they were closed down, several of them have lost employees and haven't replaced them. Can we determine, say, just like restaurants, for example, and then give them so much money?
So there were cities that did this kind of thing. We could always just poach something that another city did, or instead of recreating the wheel.
But they did it with this money or they did it with CARES
CARES
money?
money.
So that would maybe be our only thing, is making sure it was apples to apples,
Then it would
whatever
qualify.
the criteria was that their businesses had to hit, matched whatever the Fed's criteria is.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest, we're barely keeping our heads above water with all the projects you have going on in the city currently. And so the idea of trying to add that as a navigating thing to then be the people that take in paperwork or check it or whatever the system would be.
Make it simple. Just boom, 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 same, whatever.
Where does it end? Is it just restaurants? Because then any business in town could have been impacted for COVID.
Well, and that's the thing, would a bigger,
It was Muffy's. Probably not,
right,
but maybe.
right.
Because people couldn't go out. Why do you need saddle shoes? I don't know. Where do you draw the line?
Yeah.
Why don't we ask them how much they spent on fighting COVID in like stuff they had to do for their business that they didn't get reimbursed from another program?
But then you're trying to determine what they didn't get reimbursed for.
So what if we kind of paused, since you guys aren't making specific decisions, you got a lot of material to
Right.
weed through. What if we reach out to some towns to say, okay, if you gave CARES money, what was your process? Get some version we can present to you, because we
Criteria.
know what it looks like right now.
The ones I know of contracted with an outside entity, like Columbia County Economic Team handled the payments. It wasn't handled in-house,
So then maybe you're spending a little bit of money for the management of it or
but then
something.
it's off your plates.
Yeah, so we can look into That can be one of our things to bring back to. And I'm almost thinking you're better off just doing a special council meeting when we fully cook.
Yeah, I thought this was just an idea. I mean,
It is, yeah, it is. That's why we kind of wanted the people to present you the different things and, think about it.
I think you understand my point. And one point wasn't to be ornery. It's just like we're Santa Claus giving money out everywhere. Pretty soon they're going to say, what about us, right?
But they're only one quarter of the
I'm
population.
looking at the citizens as a whole going, what about us?
Well, that's true. You want to send them all a check? We can do that.
I just want to reduce their bill.
We could do that.
No, and not, I know what's coming down the pipe, We got $2 million worth of infrastructure probably needs fixed on the east side of town.
Yeah.
Figure that into the rates.
A minute ago, we were going to get a big grant for that or something, right?
Not for the
What
trees.
about Springboard? Where are we at on that? Now
We got the money.
so we got the money.
We got the grant.
Angie got the CDBG grant, her
Okay.
very first one.
When did you
Because that
find
was,
that out?
if we didn't get that, then this money was maybe going to go that way.
Yeah, so,
Try to fill that hole.
yeah.
So is there any pressing sewer, water that really needs to be done that we don't have the money for or a grant for or a plan for? that you
Water
can
is
see?
tree streets,
On what?
the tree streets.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's the oldest,
replacing all the laterals
replacing the mains that the laterals go
in
to.
the mains?
Yeah.
Is that a 3-inch or 4-inch? Or
Depends. I think not at the end it's 6, somewhere, some places it's 4, some probably it's smaller if there's less out.
Probably upgrade when we went through.
Yeah.
Spur was replaced.
So you thinking an outside contractor to get it done or
Oh,
Yeah.
It'd be
Oh,
a
yeah.
project.
fool around? Fake
It would be, this is what exists, design, maybe we have Lower Columbia design the new, all the topo and the new infrastructure, and then it would just be put it out to bid and get someone to do it. Because there's no way that's big enough. It's not just like extending the sewer on Spencer, fixing this Weed Avenue storm drain where it's like half a block or something that's doable by our crew or even Clatsop.
What about fixing the senior center half street? That's terrible down there for the trucks to back.
That's in this SCA money for 2021.
That we already have.
Yeah, we already have
Doing
it.
that this year.
Okay, so that's kind of taken.
Yeah, the stormwater is getting fixed. So there's going to be a new manhole. It's going to bore under the linear trails, shoot these 3 big buildings to Nehalem.
Right.
So that the Bear Creek stops flooding. And then once that's in, that stormwater's in, then the cap goes over it for us.
Another problem, Bear Creek and culverts that are collapsing and bridges that are with plate steel. I mean, we can go on.
Well, so the CDBG takes the pipe out of Bear Creek, which makes us remove the steel plate, which makes us be able to put a box culvert in there. So that's part of the CDBG that we just got for Springboard is getting
Oh, yeah.
the sewer pump from the old Brunsman properties, crosswellers, upgrading pump station to Anderson that sends it all the headworks and getting those in the stream pipes out.
That doesn't tie us into changing the swimming pool, does it? Like you kind of talked about earlier.
No, so those were the fish passage barriers they did not like was the waterfall because that's a sewer pipe under there.
Oh, that'll
The old water.
fish go right over
Well, and then the Bear Creek. They don't like the fish barrier there with the pipe that comes in at a 45.
And this is the design phase, right?
Yeah, we're in the design phase.
Yeah.
So we got funded to
Design it, then
design it, and then you're queued up to ask for the bigger.
It'd be millions.
that. Okay, so the first phase is design. They're not going to waste their money on design. They're probably not fund it.
Right.
Exactly.
Something
They just want you to get it all lined up in the design. So that's what we're doing.
So basically, Josette, you're asking our council you're letting us know that we can't apply for the $100,000 for next year for our paving. And to take that figure kind of and keep it in mind as to compare it.
Are there streets that wouldn't meet the criteria that this one-time windfall, right? Because you're getting 230 this year, right?
So
You're getting 230 in the next fiscal year. So is there a chunk of the areas that would not meet the criteria no matter what we do that are really going to be on the backs of the city to use the streets money which is like Dale's saying, between 25 and 30,000 is what's in that fund for paving out of our own pocket every year. Is there the opportunity to do something with streets that haven't been paved?
How about another public works vehicle?
Well, we're looking at getting a little truck because Mitch is,
Well, I know that, but I mean a public works vehicle or a backhoe or something like that also. I mean, I
equipment.
don't know. I mean, I don't know how lenient, who do we go to say, is this okay? Or do you just submit it
Well, I think
and then they don't pay it?
No, I think you make your case, and if you're suspect, we would just go to one of the helpers on the website that says,
You have a contact, that's your liaison.
not specifically, every town doesn't get a liaison. You get an office to call, and then they help you figure it out.
So we kind of need to get some projects in mind that you need to call probably.
Yeah, so we'll check into the potential for businesses. Tree Streets is pretty simplistic. It's going to be a ton.
But wouldn't we have to, with Lower Columbia Engineering,
They can
actually?
give us an estimate of, hey, this.
But we'd have to pay them to go
Yeah, but-
through and build us the project.
You would, but we could get them for nothing to do hey, this is the mapping on GIS. We're looking at redoing this. What's your bid for what you would charge us for that design?
Right.
And then we would know that ahead of why we're talking, so-
Because potentially out of some of these funds, we should be paying for
Right.
that to get.
Right. If we
Because the
wanted to-
next thing that's going to come down the pipeline, and I want to be shovel ready for, Biden's infrastructure plan goes through, well, then that is specifically going to be water, sewer, roads.
Yeah.
Telecommunications and whatever else.
Right.
But those things are, there's going to be another big chunk of change if that goes through. Probably bigger than what we're receiving off of this.
Right.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Who knows if,
Depends how it gets manipulated.
how many add-ons.
Under the tourism thing, we can make a case to upgrade some of the electrical at Anderson Park then. The 50 amp that you want to do.
Probably.
I mean, it's bringing people in, right?
Right.
You got to have infrastructure to bring in campers. I'm just spitballing here.
Yeah.
It's a cost that,
You said where? Anderson?
yeah, they've got
Because they're on
some.
30 amps and. a
So the
lot of
30 amps
trailers are-
They're all 30.
Yeah.
I think there's a few 50s, but not very many of them.
A couple more too.
Right.
Yeah, we wanted the ones where the old playground were.
I mean, I'm just,
Yeah. So that's kind of the thing. This is just kind of the seed meeting for us to get staff to get you guys background information on things you're interested in. And then to be thinking, in my brain, I was thinking whole community, like what could we pay for that we then wouldn't have to charge everyone to pay for? Kind of thing. That's where I was coming from. But if you guys want to get more specific into certain things, we can do that.
well, any equipment or vehicles end up getting built into the rate. So that's everybody.
Yeah.
I mean,
The one thing we don't have that we could do a lot more of our own things if we did have is a little track hoe.
we could cancel buying that truck and put it under this too, if we wanted to.
If it's already in the budget.
26 grand. We haven't
Yeah.
bought it yet.
You'd probably have to do a supplemental and take it out.
I'm just throwing ideas out.
Yeah.
Well, and then you'd bring this funds in, so.
Yeah, or shift it in the budget.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's, if we're,
Moving shells.
right, it is a shell game.
He goes in here and then comes back in, right? But
Right.
you don't have to build the,
We have a trailer to haul it.
No.
No.
No,
that's
We'd have
another
to
thing.
we have to have a
We're
trailer.
looking for a trailer for the,
Yeah, we could do
Yeah.
the water purification trailer and
Yeah.
my picture.
Oh,
14,900 is what the weight is. 14,900
for a Connex?
for this Connex with
Oh,
just a minute.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
That
Because Sean sent me a picture of the side of it with all the things on it.
might.
yeah.
So that would be an easy.
A small truck. Oh.
Well, no, I'm just saying, you'd need to leave the Connex on a trailer, so that could definitely hit the mark. But then another trailer and a,
I don't know if Rick was here when we talked about that.
oh, maybe you weren't.
There's a Connex with a water purification system given to us, but it's sitting in Rainier. Or
Yeah, sitting in St. Helens.
Oh,
At the
I
emergency
think we
management.
talked about it
So we need a
at the
trailer.
meeting.
That's what we thought.
Yeah.
Oh, were you? Okay, I didn't know if you were at that one
I
or.
don't remember if you were, when we were talking about needing a trailer or not for a Connex.
You can get a decent little excavator for about 36.
Yeah.
Places that haul those Connex boxes.
Yeah, they want it mobile though, in case they need to.
You have to,
Yeah.
it's a purification. So if it washed out down there and you had to go to the confluence to get the water, you'd want to be able to back it right down somewhere.
Yeah.
That's the reason they want it mobile. That's why it's,
And it shouldn't be that much to put a couple axles under that thing. A couple of them mobile home trailer axles.
Oh, they'll want 35 grand for a big heavy duty dual axle trailer or something. New, 25, yeah.
Shit, I had a couple of those laying around the house there.
well, that's one of the things too, is if we're really going to do it and we know we have some funds to spend, we should be looking at military surplus for a trailer. Because I can guarantee you there's going to be those floating around there. But yeah, it's kind of like a brainstorm. I mean, Rainier's not even starting to talk about their ARPA money until September.
And
We're
the
like-
money's allocated, right?
It is, it's not in our bank account.
Right.
Yeah.
And
We need to, and what's required? Do we have to have it spent just the next fiscal year?
December 31st, isn't it?
Well, I don't believe you have to, let me pull up the paperwork. I don't believe it's supposed to hit your,
With it.
yeah.
December 31st.
I don't think that that's,
You don't want to get to where you're trying to spend it in the last 2 weeks fast, right?
well, that's what was weird to me about what he said about Rainier, because I was like, they're not even talking about it until September. What the hell?
They want the money in the bank first, huh?
Okay, eligible, blah, 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 funds, respond.
Well, is it the money in the bank or is it reimbursement?
Oh, me.
Hold on.
We working on.
That way. I'll find it, lady.
I know, I'm trying to find it on this teeny little thing. I'm looking like
I
my,
am eavesdropping.
I don't think this is the same. I'm looking.
What'd you think? Kind of fast talkers, aren't they?
Yeah.
You got the sales pitch.
Yeah, that tail end there, well, end of the quarter, we were getting the fast hard sell there.
One of the guys I couldn't hear, he's got that voice that my ears just don't.
I mean, getting connectivity in some places is going to be an issue for us.
Not really though, because you can do it through a cell phone modem. That's how the SCADA is. It's just a cell phone that's in the thing that does the modem, and you just pay the cell phone fee, or it's like its own hotspot basically.
Okay.
$40
$40 a month or something.
Yeah. So,
Each.
yeah.
The hotspot's like, if it's a cell phone line, it's like $40, 20 or 40.
Yeah, and I think if you did, I think the SCADA is even cheaper than that because it doesn't get a
Call approved, but you're going to catch them.
Kate's probably got a dedicated line.
They're
I
not
would cell phone.
going to catch them.
Yeah, so it's like its own.
Because, they do make those
Yeah.
cell phone game cameras.
Or whatever.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I think they're only good for.
Fine. You don't know who did it.
Sounds like these are, that was a 4K
You
resolution
shooting them.
camera, so that's
You have to replace the camera, but
pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't think the lenses are bulletproof,
They didn't like,
Well, yeah, that's.
but you're going to catch them anyway.
they weren't real.
Maybe.
Maybe, hopefully.
50 feet. Not hard to shoot.
You better catch them. Somebody's spraying a can of spray paint in your yard. Spraying spray paint, you're going to catch them.
I mean, not me, obviously.
Yeah, and that'll be next.
Are the cameras we have not working well?
They want
No, we just can't do them at Spencer because these are all hardwired. They're working fine, but Spencer,
He wants to replace them all
They'll be wireless.
with these new
So
ones.
Sifley, we want a line over there. They've let them into town, right?
So, yeah, and we got the sewer facility there, so you put your Wi-Fi, your modem in there.
what are you talking
Oh,
about?
that's, well, I mean, I guess we just have to have power is all we gotta have. for that to work
Where?
in any of the parks. We just need
So
to.
you have to have power and then a Wi-Fi.
Right.
Oh, yeah, okay, sorry.
Hardline, right?
Or a hardwire, yeah.
Yeah. We aren't hardwired. It's at the sewer headworks.
No, because it would,
But see, now we could use one of these from there,
yeah,
Wi-Fi
you could. I think his are,
or cellular.
yeah. So let me look, I'm gonna give you guys a timeline because I'm trying to read that and it's too tiny.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For expenditures and deadlines.
I mean, and you know, we can tie projects together knowing that the next year we're going to have another pot of gold
Mhm.
and probably double the hands out.
Okay, so what I have that staff's gonna bring back to you guys, and it's probably gonna be your August meeting. Or sent, maybe you don't talk about it in August, but we send you the answers, right? So we're going to get references for specific applications, the towns that use Dude Solutions, and set up a presentation for a future date from them, a really short one, just showing you the two products we're interested in.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to get a timeline for expenditures and deadlines for the funding. And we're going to contact other communities who granted funds to businesses and ask them how that worked and what the criteria was. Hold on.
That would have been under the CARES Act, but now this is a little different, right?
Yeah, so we just want to make sure if it would meet the same things. We're still slated to backfill the jamboree fees of the $2,050 based on the hospitality thing. And then I'm going to ask Ruben about waiving the fees, the SDCs in particular, for Habitat for Humanity. Any other things that you
If we
want?
can't waive the fees, we could always give them the money and then they pay us. It's the same thing, right?
Say that again.
Would this let you give somebody $16,000?
Well, that's what I'm going to ask him about waiving it. How would you give that over legally?
If it wasn't waived and we just said here's 16,000 from our pot of gold and you can pay it back into the city. I mean,
Oh, yeah, I see.
it costs them nothing.
The tricky part for me is that it's hard for me because I'm like, okay, is the person you're going to bring here a current renter that needs help, that's going to get their ABCs of home ownership under their belt? And
You
then,
never know.
right. But most programs that are asking a city to give funds are also connecting that to someone in the community. The flip side of it also is, as an organization, the big organization of Habitat for Humanity, it's crazy to me they're asking a teeny city to forgive them their fees when that overarching organization's got a lot of money. But that's just me.
Well, that's probably just what she does, go around and get what she can get, right? I mean,
Yeah.
do we also need to talk about the 400,000 infrastructure that was allotted from Betsy?
Yeah, so that's specific to that Louisiana project.
Okay.
That's what we pitched it for. And that's what she put it in her section of the state funds for, was the map and the requests of matching the topo and all the elevation shots and stormwater culverted and all that.
we have the money for that now.
No, not yet. No, it's all this money is kind of like waiting on the feds to kick it down or kick it in. Hers, I think, is a kick down. I think this one's probably a treasury submission portal like we did with the CARES money.
So it's reimbursed.
Where you, well, it's like you put it in what you're doing, right? It gets approved, they kick the money down. So
Oh, okay.
you can do it ahead of the reimbursement if, so that's how we did the submissions.
So what kind of homework do we have to do to get prepared for that? I mean, as far as if we're going to develop Louisiana.
We already gave permission. We were already starting to lay that out.
Yeah, so the first things are going to be the topo, the engineering, the elevations of all the cross streets. That's number one. You got to do that before we even start messing with anything.
Okay.
Is that starting?
Well, I don't have the money, so it's not starting yet.
I thought we talked about starting on that, but maybe we didn't fund
Well,
it.
you guys didn't put it in streets because we were asking Betsy for the money. We talked about that being the plan. We never talked about funding it with our general fund or streets money.
Yeah, I thought we were already moving forward with that. I thought we gave the okay to do.
Well, Robert's been up there doing stuff, but he hasn't done the full-on thing like we're gonna do when we.
Didn't he say-
I mean,
Well, he's doing, if I recall correctly, he's just doing the elevations so that we have the side street connecting. He's
Yeah.
working, supposed to
Yeah.
be working on that.
So he's doing part of it. He's not doing the full,
The full build out.
well,
No.
the full
Yeah.
design because,
Right.
yeah, that,
But the elevation.
yeah, because
Because we okayed, what was it, about 15 grand, wasn't it? Wasn't it about 15 grand?
What it was.
Yeah, I think
remember.
I think it was
Or it could have
20.
been up to 15 or.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So-
he was doing it so that when Andy has to build out those new ones, he matches whatever we're going to do. So he is doing that part.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about every cross street, every one's going to need the design where the culverts are in the right of way, where all of that, catch
Yeah.
basins. That's a bigger design that was
Bigger,
getting
yeah.
the money from the Betsy, not just us walking around up there and talking about how do we get forward to prepare,
Yeah.
because that's what we talked about with Robert.
Culverts need updating too, not those ones you can step on and collapse.
And, you know, we're still working on our sidewalk project.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
my question was, is that going to affect putting that street through or, you know, what we do branching off of that?
No, because the only thing it's,
Pull the Band-Aid off. I'm trying to,
We're
it's,
already
all-
pulling the Band-Aid off.
Already
Up
did,
there.
pretty much.
yeah.
They're putting in.
Not
the whole street
officially.
Development. Oh, no, they are.
oh,
Well, for up there, but we haven't.
Right, for the other sidewalks, you haven't
For everywhere
officially
else.
changed the code to.
right.
No, and it's not going to negatively affect us. I mean, if someone chooses to face Louisiana, they might get out of the thing, but all the lots really face the lettered streets. So it would be someone on a two lot having to do that and then their sidewalk on their letter street or whatever.
There's a couple houses that face it down to, at the end there.
Yeah, but for like.
They're already there.
Yeah.
It's not Andy's.
We can't.
But for like the developed ones, they're platted unless he's going to do line changing with the surveyor, they're platted facing the HG, all the lettered streets. So that's kind of where we're at with that. But I don't see it stopping us moving forward. And then like Stephanie said, we need to do the code changes and there is the weird requirement that we're holding Andy to that's in just the wrong section of the code, but it basically says you put in a full street. So he's going to have to in this next one. Hopefully we get the code switched in the meantime too, but same difference. It exists.
Either put it in or don't build a house.
Boy.
So this is one of the things that we were also
Yeah,
talking
that's-
about is when you do the fee in lieu and if someone's house burns down and if they're building a bigger house, if we give money to Habitat for these offsets, I can guarantee you the 2 burned out home people are going to come and ask us for money because they had a house there that existed without a sidewalk and now we're making them pay a fee in lieu.
And there's another entity in Vernonia who wants to build a house and they're going to come to you asking for a waiver of SDCs also.
SDCs?
SDCs?
Yeah,
Just
that's
like Habitat.
that's what she's
Habitat's
asking for. The 8,000 is SDCs.
Yeah, I know, but one's kind of a nonprofit and you're talking,
It's a fire department.
it's another nonprofit.
So it's the, where does it end?
So that's
Yeah,
something to take into account when you're
yeah.
determining what you're going to decide. Because it could be a domino effect of some of the decisions or it could-
They didn't let me out of-
Fairly limited, but then
Sure.
again, they could come in and buy up some land and then keep every year building 1 or 2.
yeah. But you could just say this is a one-off deal and this is what we're choosing to do with it.
Well, and it's when we have this money.
Right, I mean, this is a moment in time when we
Yeah.
can
do this.
afford to help this way. Because you're not going to give businesses, if you chose to give the businesses 3 years from now, you're not going to give them, if they're on hard times, you're not going to, so it's
It's like
just a
winning the
lot.
lottery. Everybody comes running.
Oh, yeah.
Uncle Eddie coming out of the corner.
Can you imagine winning $2 million?
You got to move.
You got friends coming out of the woodwork.
Well, the girl that won the 1 million for the vaccinations
Yeah.
was
Could you
20.
imagine? Yeah, I seen her,
Going
yeah.
to school.
Yeah,
My sister won the 10,000 in Clackamas County.
Awesome.
she did.
Well, she thought she did till her, I had to fess up. I wrote the letter
You did it just to be a snot?
and yeah, 13 years ago, she gave me fake lottery tickets when I was drunk on my 40th birthday and she's been laughing about it for 13 years. I said, one day I'm going to get you back.
Awesome.
I had the director of the lottery call first and said, there'll be a letter coming in 3 days. And then the letter came. It was very professional in a big envelope, all printed out. Oh boy, she had her acceptance speech ready for the party. Luncheon was July 24th at 1 p.m. Members from the OHA, governor's office, and the press will be attending. Media family members only.
You're awful.
Yeah.
This is like something I would do.
This is all recording.
That's amazing.
You better be on your guard for.
Watch out.
It was cheaper than doing the Publishers Clearinghouse fan with the. and everything.
Oh my gosh.
That's
sibling.
fantastic.
But I let her know when she started planning her trip to England right away that no, it was me.
Oh,
It
God.
took like an hour to convince her it was me.
She didn't believe you.
My mom was the one that really, no, I had the letter.
Oh my
Oh, I
God.
wrote the letter.
That is-
Anything else we could add to the,
Who we need to talk to about if we can use it for road, street money?
Yeah.
You had that on there, okay.
Yeah,
So I didn't see the winner. It's 20-year-old one, huh?
the 1 million, yeah. Columbia County, you all have pretty good odds. There's only 49,000.
Didn't they announce them all?
I don't think so.
I thought the governor was going to announce them all this week or something.
No, they were having to contact them, or I don't know.
There's some deal like
OHA contacts and then the governor was going to announce it.
Oh, yeah, she still has it on
like
the
they said
10,000.
a week or two before that.
Yeah, which I'm like, okay, if the lottery's part of it, it should be like a drawing. It should be-
Lottery's not part of it.
Yeah, the lottery's the ones that did the drawings.
OHA did the drawing, I think, and then they let just the name of the person. So it's weird if you look it up, I think.
But I think to get people really buying into it, it should have been
A lottery.
public,
yeah,
press releases in the public, not this, okay, we picked everyone, now we're just going to notify them because.
that night didn't qualify because we were already vaccinated.
Mhm.
What do you mean you didn't qualify?
Well, with that being said, and I think she gave us a pretty good action item summary, I'm going to adjourn this
One
workshop.
more thing.
One more thing.
Oh, yeah.
JR's add-on.
Okay, sorry, JR.
No, it's okay.
So this one,
Forgot.
you can either ask your questions or I can answer them before you ask them.
Well, during our past meetings, we had talked about 5 committee members from the public and 3 alternates, and the council was going to each pick a committee member. And I haven't heard a word about that.
Because there were 3 applicants.
Well, I understand that. I mean, I figured there wasn't probably a lot, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So that changed and when no one talked about it. And then also, that we talked briefly about a point system, but we never went into any details of how it's going to work for committee people and the council itself.
No, so I think point system, I don't remember that.
No, it'd be like a normal interview process and you'll have okay, let me start fresh. So I notified all of the committee members, people who are going to do the interviewing on the citizen panel, which was 3 on Friday. They're all set to go on Saturday, the 17th, which is this Saturday.
Saturday.
I also spoke with all of the council candidates, which is 4, and they're all set to go. On my list to do today was to send the applications to the citizen panel and yourselves with an outline of exactly what to expect on Saturday. However, I was out sick. So my daughters are sick. So Saturday, the plan is We'll convene at 8:45 a.m. here at City Hall. The citizen panel will be simultaneously over at the library. Then we'll
With me.
start with her. So then you'll have your 10 questions, as will they. They'll have the same questions, but they'll be shuffled. And then at 9 o'clock, you have your first interview. There's one over there at 9 also, and then people will switch. Then at, I think it was at 11 o'clock, we'll serve you guys lunch, because it's going to be a long day. Same with the citizen panel. And then we'll convene again at noon with another interview. And immediately after there, 1 o'clock, there will be another interview. After that, you guys will have your special meeting where you guys can discuss the different candidates, and you can even appoint one at that point if you would like to.
Oh, because I guess I was assuming the citizen panel was going to push their favorite forward.
Yes,
They're
sorry.
going to send you a
recommendation.
recommendation
Yeah.
to your discussion at 2 when you convene your special meeting to discuss it.
So you'll take a recess after your last interview. They'll be finishing up theirs and doing their recommendation. Their recommendation will physically come over here, and then you guys will be given that, and then
Have your
you
meeting.
guys will have your meeting.
And if
Well, it's
you,
all a meeting, but
but
you guys
that'll
will
be
have
the
your actual
discussion and deliberation and maybe potentially decision meeting. You
Yeah.
could agree, someone can make a motion to appoint someone could second it. You could all say yes, and that person's the person.
Right
or
here.
you can
Yeah.
say, no, we want to think about it longer, and then be totally honest and not talk amongst yourselves until your next meeting, and then you can do it on the,
19th?
Yeah.
Monday, you could add it to the agenda if you wanted.
so you guys will have two options basically at that point.
Is that a noticing problem? We can.
No, because we're noticing the meeting.
Yeah, you
You
mean.
can always add anything to the agenda.
I'm hoping to get it settled
Well,
on Saturday, the
Yeah.
17th.
It's gonna be a long day. I'll have lots of breaks in
You're
there.
gone all,
I was thinking by noon we were gone, so I'm glad you explained.
No.
yeah. So we're
Yeah,
gonna
so that
get,
would've been
we're
in the
gonna go
email
get
today.
food and drinks and coffee. And
cool.
So you're thinking like 2 o'clock maybe or something?
2 o'clock's when you'd be meeting potentially.
Yeah, so
Back in open
Yeah.
session.
Well,
it's
back
all
in,
open session.
Huh?
It's all open session.
Yeah.
It's be a work session, and then you guys will take a break, and then it'll be a special meeting where you guys will do your deliberation and
yeah,
make
But
a
it'll be,
decision.
yeah, it'll be a,
More formal.
right.
Council
Still notice.
it'll be a council
Yeah.
meeting at
Yeah.
that time,
It's
not
all
a work
meeting.
session.
And I'm confused because I thought we saw, they had the 30 questions that they were doing down to 10. And then we had a different sheet that was the community questions.
We decided to do the same ones
But why are we doing the same?
because they're basing their decision off of different questions than you guys will be hearing, answers you'll be hearing too. So if they asked something and the candidate answered it and they said, oh my God, it's amazing, we choose you, but then they never even hear that, it's not exactly fair.
But I thought they were about more like the background of
We
why,
can, I can give the different ones.
well, what were the different ones? Do you have that sheet?
No, because we're not telling the candidates what those questions
No,
are.
I know, but do you have, we still have the
Yeah.
sheet?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay. So we maybe, what is your guys' preference? That they get asked the same questions by you and them? Because then that seems like they've just had time to rehearse their answer when they go to the second panel, to me. That's why I kind of wanted ones that were like, what brings you here? More community based. And then you guys asking, what do you see wrong with the city? Like, because as a counselor, my questions to someone sitting up here with me would be different than Josette Mitchell living on Lakeview and what I would want in a counselor. Is that not, am I wrong?
But so,
Right.
we selected as our top 10 is the same questions.
But just shuffled.
For those people?
That's how it's right now.
That's how I was.
I thought that,
They didn't get to select out of those 30. What?
No.
That's not-
and so before we had like a community list that was the questions the panel asked, and then a council list of what council wanted to know.
Well, I think the same list's fine because it keeps it, I mean, might not know the questions to ask, right? Some of them. But they should maybe also be able to throw in a couple of their own, maybe.
But that's the thing is you have to ask the same questions of all the candidates you're interviewing. That's why I wanted it to be a little bit different over there, is that they're asking
So it's either gonna be totally different or totally the same. That's what you're thinking.
Yep.
Yeah, because how we have it right now, they would be getting mixed up questions from the panel and then coming here and answering the same questions, just in a different order,
Just, yeah, all those questions are going to be asked of each one
twice.
twice.
Then why have a,
You'd be selecting the process for yourself.
Yeah.
Say that again, Rick? That's why I thought maybe we'd want to, as community members, maybe they would want to know a little bit different, like, what's your, what are the top interests you have in town and what do you think's important?
if you're asking the
You
same,
guys can have an honest conversation.
Okay,
Yeah, I actually forgot about those ones. So I was just like, oh yeah, same ones. Shuffle.
Hi, Susan.
right,
so that's why I'm thinking maybe it's, because I think if you stymied on one side and then you come here and you guys ask it, well, then they'd be ready to go. Well, if they stymie on you, but then they're dead on nuts when they go to say the same, that's what worries me about it.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's a dress rehearsal on one side.
Right, and if you have the
And I'll go,
trouble of being
answer
here
that.
first,
Are they all going over there first before they come here?
no, you're simultaneously candidate A, candidate B,
There's 4 of them.
candidate A, candidate B,
So some of them will come here first, some of them won't.
right?
Just
Yeah.
depends on how you
and my
pick them.
question is if you ask,
Set it up.
if you ask the same questions, why have the community panel then? You know what I mean? I mean,
Yeah, I agree.
More people.
There's,
and so,
Well, so what Susan
I'm okay
had
with-
said, is if you're going to ask the same questions just in a different order, should they not be interviewed by both parties in one setting? Which makes sense. I was under the assumption we were doing two different sets, so that my brain was somewhere else.
well, only 3 people put in. Do they have any government experience?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, they do.
They're good.
It's not Brent Cosley, is it?
I can't tell you
I
who
can't
they
tell
are.
you because it's a public meeting. We're trying to keep it secret of who the panelists are.
Oh, because it makes a difference if they're in government or if they're just
Yeah.
regular citizens, you know?
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with asking,
Ultimately, it's up to council, right?
Well, I'm asking you, would you like them to be asked the same questions? Or would you like us to pull the committee panel list and use that instead of the ones you guys picked?
The latter.
Okay, so two different sets of questions.
yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
You have your questions you guys picked, and then we go off the panel ones we used last.
And how are they going to grade it? Because that's what I'm trying to get.
It's not really a grading, it's who do they think fits the best.
Okay, because I said Banks, I mentioned it to you that they did a number system, 1 through 4
Oh,
on
okay.
each question. And then it come up with a total. And you talked about maybe that's what we were going to do.
Oh,
And so I never heard back.
oh, yeah. We never graded them in the past when you guys have done, when the
You're
council
just
is
be grading them 1, 2, 3. I want this person or 4. I want this person. If not, I want this person. If not, I want this person. If not, I want that person. So you would be in saying, but you could, because someone, so I've sat on some interview panels before, and sometimes there's someone who answers every question perfectly. But you ultimately pick somebody who didn't score as high because they think they'd be a better fit for the organization.
Right, or within your panel.
But then you said this one had all, this one was number 1. But really, I'm choosing this one.
So the citizen panel, they're going to probably feel, if we don't pick their pick, they're going to be like, well, I wasted.
No.
That's the risk with having a citizen panel.
Well, and I think they know it's got to be a good dynamic. I mean, you want the council to represent the citizenry, which is typically what elections try to do, right? Well, we're not an election, so there's always the off chance there's 4 people. You could pick their number 2, who they come up with in their head that, oh, this person's great, but I didn't like that answer, so they're my number 2, but you guys pick them as the number 1. It's really up to you anyway. You could outright just pick them. You're kind of doing the community a service by allowing it to be a transparent process where citizens could have at least hear it and have a say.
And I imagine they'll come in and join us during our deliberation.
They certainly could.
I
Yeah.
mean, I think
Be open.
The panel,
I think they should, because then they'll kind of maybe hear some of the thought process, right?
Invite them.
Yeah, we'll invite them over.
their main objective is to recommend one person.
Yep.
Our main job
Is
is to
Person.
appoint one person.
Yeah.
It's just as simple as that.
Yeah. And it may, I think as long as it's thoughtful, it won't matter if you don't pick their person. Because if the reasoning you have behind who you're picking are legit, then they can't be mad that that person wasn't your flavor or their person wasn't your flavor. That's not,
So you don't, the citizen panel, what is your direction to them? Do they score, or do they just do, this person is qualified? This person isn't qualified.
they're going to do the exact same thing you're going to do, because really, is anyone qualified to be a city councilor? Very few people have ever had the background. Me, no. I don't know if any of us are qualified. So they're going to do the same deliberations you do.
Okay.
This person seems to have their finger on the pulse of what's happening in town. This person doesn't know where Spencer Park is, or
Yeah.
what, you know what I mean?
This person gave me the best vibe.
Right. I mean,
At the end of the day.
it's ultimately that subjective for them as well as you guys.
Or I went to school with this person's granddaughter. Therefore, I like.
So there's no directive to them as.
Well, ask the same,
Basically, it's, we need you to recommend
That's what they.
one out of the four,
that you think would be the fifth person in the city council.
but then we don't know the number two.
We can ask them to.
I mean,
rate
we
them.
could ask them to,
Put their names in the list.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4.
I don't know if that's,
See, that's what I'm wanting
Does
to
it
know.
matter?
If you're gonna do.
that's going to
matter
create
if-
some hurt feelings.
right.
I look at it
You don't want to come
as
back in
having
here
the
and
citizen,
Because
number 4 from the.
Yeah.
Right. And if it's going to be a public record, that's also a reason not to have the numbered list.
Let's just get a recommendation who they pick, and then
Yeah.
if it matches ours, it's golden. If not, we argue it out.
Well, or maybe they give you say, can you help us understand? Maybe they just come here and present their recommendation and tell you the things about that person that they felt met the qualifications for being a city councilor. And then you guys deliberate and choose whoever you're going to choose. I don't know that you need to get in a back and forth, because some of them or you might have staunch opinions about A, B, or C, right?
Yeah, it would be good to have a 2 or 3 sentences of maybe why they chose the person.
Yeah. We could have them do that.
The
easy.
foreman could come in and read it, and this is why
Right.
if
We feel like they're this, that, the other.
they're comfortable doing
Yeah,
that, right?
I think that'd be comfortable. I think I can figure it out. But yeah, so we'll do sandwiches, coffee, waters, soda, whatever you guys want to get.
I'll be going to Costco.
Well, I feel better because I really didn't know how this was going to go down. I didn't want to be like figuring it out on July 17th
Right,
at 10 o'clock.
I would have had it this morning, but
right. But the girls,
yeah.
stupid head colds going around town.
Oh, really?
Weird back of the sinus congestion, nothing down here.
My girls had sore throats and
Yeah, it's like,
You know,
what the heck?
The variant.
felt super crappy.
I don't think it's no
was.
chest.
They're good now.
Well,
so.
no chest stuff, so it's weird.
Huh.
But yeah, a lot of people. So if you guys are all okay with that plan, tomorrow Stephanie will send you the questions that you came up with your tallying
Yep.
and the applications to
Yep.
review.
And they're doing their own questions, right?
Yeah, we're doing a different set of questions and they're going to get their questions and applications.
fine.
Does that work?
Yep.
Not today. Because today's almost over.
Okay, any other thing? Any
Mine
other
starts
questions,
again at
JR?
3:47.
You okay with that?
Gross.
Yeah, I
Okay.
just wanted to know. I mean, I didn't
Yeah.
know. I was sitting there going, we're getting
Well,
close here.
Sorry. Sick kids. What do you do?
Okay, I'd like to adjourn this workshop at 9:45. Meeting adjourned.
All right.
Yeehaw.